Barry's thinking this might be faster doing it that way.
All right, we ready? Okay, good morning. It's 10:03. We'll call this meeting of Wichita County Commissioners Court of Order. Everyone please rise. And let me make one announcement. The Board of Judges passed this morning that masks are not required throughout this building, and that was the only building we have, and each courtroom can make its decision. Here, we're a commissioner's court. If you want to wear your mask, it's certainly optional and encouraged. If you don't have to. Would you all join me in prayer, please? Father God, we come to you today knowing of the many blessings that you give us each individually as a land and a country. And Father, that you forgive us of our sins. That you look out and give us the wisdom and the charity to do the jobs we are here to do for the people of this county. We ask that you look after our first responders and all those who would serve. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Join me to pledge allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the Texas pledge, please.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Take seats, please. If I could ask at this time for Mr. David Graff, who's going to bring us a presentation from the Master Gardeners. David, good to see you on the
Great. Thank you all for letting us come and supporting all of our programs, because volunteers is a big part of what we do. An extension today, we wanted to recognize the Master Gardener Association that we have here in Wichita County. They just received 2 state awards, and so they're going to just talk briefly about that. But just to kind of highlight some of the things that they're doing, the past year they had over 20 different projects and reached almost 2,000 contacts. And some of that is with community gardens, so we work some with the Burke Boys and Girls Club, Heather helps them with that. So they've got 60 to 70 kids and helped me with them several times. So really a lot of outreach. We've been working with 7 community gardens from time to time, and so I want to tell you just a little bit about what they do. Some of the handout that I gave you just kind of highlights part of what they do. Not nearly all of it. I know Commissioner Beacon has worked with the Master Gardeners setting up the little perennial beds and that here. What I want to do first is just recognize our junior Master Gardeners at Notre Dame. They've been working there with them for a long time. That's Cindy Cunningham, who's there, one of the teachers, and then also Marilyn and Ernie Putoff. We've asked Ernie if he speaks. We'll do it in the hall. I'll get a little long, but it'd be real valuable if y'all want to join him here in a minute. But ladies, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you all for being here.
I'm Cindy Huckabee, and we started the Junior Master Gardener program at Notre Dame back in 2003. And to my knowledge, we're the only one in the area that does the Junior Master Gardener program. And we do it for 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. It's an after-school science and horticulture program, and it's been really successful. And we're just really proud of the kids. It takes about 3 years for a student to become a certified Junior Master Gardener, because they do the record book, and they have to complete almost 200 activities.
Wow.
Group activities, individual activities, and social
Terrific.
projects. So it's a really wonderful program.
And this year, we were really lucky to win first prize in the state of Texas for one of our activities that we did in last February, 3 weeks before everything shut down for COVID. We had a veggie Valentine party. The kids had 4 raised beds out at the school, and they had raised such a huge fall garden that we decided we had to serve all of our parents just to get rid of all the vegetables. So the kids invited all of their parents to come for Valentine's Day. They went out, showed the parents their garden, cut all the vegetables down. We brought them in, and they made a huge salad. And with the turnips and Brussels sprouts and broccoli and everything else, we had a 2-burner hot plate. So we just boiled those, had some sauce for parents to pour on the vegetables, and we sat down and had a veggie Valentine party. And for that, we won first place trophy for the Junior Master Gardeners for this year.
So with Notre Dame going away, where's the program going?
We hope to start it at the new Holy Family Classical Academy. We hope to start the program there.
Great. Well, I hate to see it go away.
Me too.
Yeah.
So if not, see me about maybe going to Wichita Christian. That's where my kid goes, so I'd like to see her. It's
I'm going to Holy Family, so I'll be coming with me.
So it's been a very beneficial program, and we really enjoyed it, and the kids have learned a lot from it.
Oh,
Thank you.
sure.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
So, yeah, and I've asked Cindy Dunn, who's our current president of Master Gardeners, and she just is doing a tremendous job. And she's going to talk just a little bit about the home and garden.
Good morning.
Good
The Home and Garden Show was recognized as a state-winning project also. We had this year at the Home and Garden Show, it's a yearly event, and we had over 5,000 people that came through. We had a number of people that asked for additional classes and information, and so we always want to stay current and up to date on everything. So next year, we're going to incorporate some workshops in the back in the ranch area and some classes.
Wow. Too
Yeah.
good, too good.
Well, what you all have established throughout our community is amazing, and this is, y'all have been doing this for, how long, over 20 years?
Yeah.
Oh,
Master
even
Gardener.
maybe
Longer
longer.
than
Oh,
that.
longer, yeah, well longer than
Yeah,
that.
I saw some awards on the plaque for 2002, so I know we've been at least up on maybe longer.
Because I was thinking it started when I came in the late 80s.
Long time.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've
so
been-
that's great for any organization to continue that long, but especially what you all have done, you know, in the way of public projects to help things out. It's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, they do, they do a great job. So finally, Heather Simpson, who's our veteran for Texas agent, and I know y'all know Heather very well and just does a tremendous job. Just came back from almost a week down at the state office. Just, they asked her to come and just help do some video and some things, just because she just is recognized across the state for what she's doing.
Good.
So in addition to physical activity and nutrition, which is our other two main focus areas in Better Living for Texans curriculum series that we offer, gardening is a huge part of it as well. And since COVID-19 started, the gardening exploded. Obviously, people wanted to get outside. We wanted to still get the kids outside as much as possible. And so I kind of teamed up right away with our master gardeners, because I don't know as much about gardening as I do nutrition and physical activity. And so they have been pretty much single-handedly assisting me with running these Better Living for Texans series. And we were able to make a huge impact over the last year with our gardens. So I put together, in addition to having a thank you luncheon for some of our master gardeners that work directly with Better Living for Texans, I made a video for them that's really short, about a minute or two, and I presented it to them, and so I wanted to share that with you. And it's just basically all of the projects and just kind of the progress that we made in Burke Burnett at the Boys and Girls Club. They went from a 3-bed program for our Learn, Grow, Eat, and Go into an 8-bed program. So they have an abundance of vegetables, and they're now doing service projects with their kids and going to be selling at the farmers market, so their older kids can learn about money management and things like that, building a business. And we also have reestablished our 2 beds at the Mission and Faith Refuge, or our garden areas there, and then we just started one a couple of weeks ago at the Burke Burnett Senior Citizen Center, and so they're doing a program there. So you'll see just kind of the progress that we made. So if you want to go ahead and start that.
Pretty neat setup. Yeah.
You could.
Yeah.
Think it's the wrong variety, though.
Yeah. That's it.
Any
Too
questions?
good. Too good.
Good.
Very good.
We appreciate very much what they do, and there are a lot of outreach, and a lot of people are impacted. But
So,
we appreciate y'all's support.
Well, no, thank you all. That's just
Thank you.
fantastic.
There's so many facets of this, and I was just sitting here watching it. In our country today, we have a major disconnect between our groceries that are on the grocery store shelf and where it actually came from and what it means to grow it. Where the nutrition comes in, and the other major disconnect is the fact that growing green plants are still the biggest carbon sink that we have in our
Yep,
environment. I mean, anything
absolutely.
we can do to enhance that helps us in so many ways. I think this is a great program. I wish we could expand it to all parts of the country because it's fascinating to watch. It's a fascinating process, and people don't have the joy and the ability to see it take place, and I think everybody should experience that. Thank you for what you do.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank
well,
y'all
thank
so
you,
much.
thank you for doing the bed out front, and if y'all have time for another project this fall, I'd like to talk to y'all about doing an iris bed here at the courthouse, so.
Yeah, we can follow over that.
In the fall, when you want to plant bulb plants, so,
Yeah, several of the ladies are, and they're in the Irish Society
I
too.
mean, I would love to have that here at the courthouse.
What was the story, Mark, on
I understand that there is a variety of irises that are called Wichita Falls iris, that,
Oh, really?
that one of your
Very
master,
expensive from my,
very expensive.
but you know, don't worry, the money's on.
I mean, I just think it would be appropriate to have them here at the courthouse.
Yeah.
So we could highlight those and show them off, so.
Well, they may want to look at doing hardy hibiscus, because
Okay.
they've been doing the breeding, they're at
Oh,
Lockett.
yeah.
Lopez, and they're pretty tough plants.
Well, yeah, I'd like to get back with y'all, and I've got a place in mind where we can do that, and I think it would enhance our building even further, so.
Good. All right.
And on top of that, Dave, don't ever hesitate. We've got plots all across different neighborhoods of vacant lots that the county is still in possession of, and if those could work out in a community, please check that out. We'd love to help let you utilize those. There's just sitting there, so.
And winning a state award for anything in the state of Texas is a big
Big.
deal. Just telling you at any level, congratulations, great work, great work. You bet.
Gentleman behind you, David, had something, I thought, sir, did you have something to say? I thought you held your hand up.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, he's talking about the money, and I said, you know, you're right there, there's the money.
Not your money, so.
There I'm gonna make one comment on this vegetable thing that they did. There were parents there who never tasted some of these vegetables.
Oh, yeah.
Never ate them, not even out of a can.
Yeah.
And they were surprised. I mean, they figured out you put enough salt, enough sauce on a turnip, it was good. I like just turnips, but yeah, I mean, there were some that never ate them, and once they got them, that were just picked that day and fixed, they
Nothing
thought
like
they
it.
were good.
Wow.
Nothing like it.
Good job.
Heather, I was a little concerned in that you showed plants and then you showed little chicks. I didn't know if kids are gonna say, well, those came out of eggplants or, you know,
Those
what?
happened to be donated when we were there at the refuge, and the ladies had no idea what to do with them, and I have chickens, so I was like, okay, you need to have some things ready, so they were fascinated by it. I took a picture.
Well, anyway, thank you all
Thank
very
y'all
much.
so much.
Appreciate you very much.
Cindy, good to see you.
Guys, good seeing you.
You know, I enjoy just an overall turn-up slant.
Next on the agenda, I would ask if there's anyone, either on the phone or in the audience that has anything to make under public comments. That was announced at 10:19, hearing none, we will close the public comments at 10:19. Okay, I ask the court to take action on the consent agenda.
Correction, item 10, instead of annex elevator, it is the courthouse elevator.
And Mark, I really thought that's a good price considering what we're looking at. I mean, I was just shocked. I thought there'd been a lot more than that.
Yeah, we have already approved the price on this, so this is just approving payment, so, but yeah, I agree.
I don't know why, but I thought
That's a
those
$24,000
cars
bump.
would cost more.
Yes, that's to
That's just a bump.
add 2
What was
doors.
the-
Yeah, that's not,
What was, the original was 50,000 or something?
Judge, on item 7,
I
and
don't remember the cost
Tracy,
of each
I
of
may
these elevators.
get you to look here.
I'm so,
But on item 7, I had a question, Judge, about this
sir.
warranty set out. And I hope there is, but I can't determine. It is spelled out on specific invoices, but not this invoice. That totals
Okay.
52, or 547912. It's just not a separate item like it is on other.
so what do you want to do? Pull the item until we get that clarification?
No, if we could just make the, well, it's whatever you, I certainly don't mind to try to get that from Microsoft as well as to what is involved with that, or if that comes out. But there were only 4 items listed, 2 of which were the laptops, 2 of which are the pins that go to the laptops, 2 Surface Dock stations, and 2 keyboards. And that's the only 4 items listed on the invoice. And the other invoice that carried additional laptops specifically calls out on a line the warranty.
And why not modify it to add the addition of the warranty, extended warranty expense?
Okay.
Judge,
Yes, sir.
the invoice 92700116622 is for the warranty on those tablets.
The
Say
586.
that again, Matt. What was the invoice number?
That 92700116622 for the 586 and 4 cents, that is for the warranty.
Oh, underneath there. Right there on the second line.
Oh, but Matt, I'm looking at the invoice. I can't tie
I've
to,
got the invoice, I can send it over.
okay, because it may be a different invoice than what I'm looking at.
Yeah, it's for another 3 years on the warranty.
Well, oh, yeah, if you would scan that, that'd be great, Matt. And so if you feel like we can leave that, I want to leave it. I want there to be warranty on there. But when I tally this 4-item invoice that I'm looking at, it comes to 547912.
Yes, sir, this is a separate invoice.
Oh, okay, okay. Gotcha.
Hey, Matt, on item 6 and item 9, can you kind of explain what we're doing there and what's the purpose and need?
Okay, so this is really just some housekeeping items. You know, we pretty much stopped all the projects for the LTN. I know we still have 2 open invoices to pay for the CDA, but we're just going to move those funds to 401 so we could close that bank account and have those funds there for general use. For 403, we are pretty much at the end of that. As y'all can see, there's only $188,000 in that fund balance. We do have some TF that we're going to pay on the list today that we're transferring a little bit more, but those are held for monies we have not paid out to Tyler Oxy at this point. So there's really about a little over $300,000. We had discussed paying those out of the general fund going forward, and so those would just be paid out of there and then expended.
And Matt, on item 6, was that just overpayment to the fund? It's just excess funds, or was it triggered because we paid off early?
So that amount was triggered because in the 2020 budget, we had budgeted for some of those, that microwave project out of 406. So they had matched a little bit of that. And so those were just excess funds that were not used up of that now.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you. Are you ready for taking action on the consent agenda?
Motion to.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments, questions, anyone in the audience? Thank you, Matt. Okay. All in favor of the motion by Commissioner Cannon, seconded by Commissioner Waller to approve the consent agenda as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Item number 1 on general business is to receive a presentation from Erica Aguirre and Amy Campbell as TCDRS Employer Services Representatives on Wichita County's plan assessment. Erica, if you would mind, come on up front. Amy, I know you were going to join her, or you're going to just spectate from there.
She's good. Thank you. I have some handouts for each of you, which is a packet for.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trying to bring the presentation up now. Sure. And if you need it, so I can share about that as well. Whatever, I know I emailed it to you, so whatever works for you. No problem. Oh, there's other things.
Click off to the side, man.
Yes. Is it supposed, your PowerPoint presentation came over as a PDF? I did, that's how we send it. I can send it to you as a PowerPoint now, if you like. Okay. Yeah, that would probably be better. Or.
It's opening that PDF now.
There it is.
There you go.
It'll read it okay, as long as they can see.
I'll probably just have to scroll through it instead of.
No.
What do you think this is gonna look like out here? That's the big
Well, good
question.
morning to each of you. I thank you for your invitation to join you. I come to you from Austin, Texas. As Judge Gossen said, my name is Erica Aguirre, and I serve as the Employer Services Representative for your area. I'm entering my 9th year, and I'm honored to do it. And my job is to communicate information about your plan with the Texas County and District Retirement System, to review the strength of your individual plan, and to give you an update on TCDRS as a whole. So please feel free to interrupt at any time. I welcome this as a conversation, and I'd love to make sure I'm clear on any point you'd like for me to elaborate on. So moving along on the first slide, I always like to highlight who we serve. And we are very proud to serve this great state. In fact, with over 330,000 members, we have employers that span across Texas. We have every county in Texas except Motley. We're hoping to get them on one day. But we have districts that are governmental entities across Texas, and we grow by about 25 districts a year. So you can imagine we continue to get bigger. And our assets are $37 billion. Those assets are pooled by all of our employers for investment purposes only, because you handle your own plan and you fund your own Wichita County plan, but we do pool them for investments. On to the next slide, it's important that we note we do not receive money from the state of Texas. We are independently funded, but we were created by the legislature, so we are governed by the Texas legislature, but we do fund ourselves, and our operating costs average about 1-3% of our assets. And of course, a 9-member board of trustees manages us that is appointed by the governor and elected by the Senate. So the next slide really addresses a conversation that I have statewide all the time. And the question is usually posed, how are you different? How are we certain that our money is secure with TCDRS? And these qualities that we have on the screen for you are what separate us from other pension systems, not only in Texas, but nationwide. So we are savings-based, meaning every Wichita County employee is saving for their own retirement over the course of their careers. While they're doing that, Wichita County is funding the match that you've promised them at retirement. And so during the career, the money is being saved from their own pockets, and it's being saved for the match. When they reach an eligibility and they choose to retire, the money will be there to pay them out what the benefit has been promised to them. Now, along the way, we are responsibly funded as a plan. Our team of actuaries, both internal and external, we work with Milliman, values your plan every year. What they do is take a snapshot on December 31st, and they study what happened in Wichita County. What were the demographic changes? What happened to the size of their payroll? Who retired? Who was hired? What do we need to look at as a whole? How many men versus women work there? Because life expectancies are taken into consideration, and women outlive men, and that's a consideration. And so they look at that, and they determine what percent of payroll will responsibly fund this plan. And then my job is to provide that to the decision makers, and you know well in advance what each year will cost you. And this court can adjust benefit levels based on how it meets your workforce needs and budget, because this is your plan. So it's responsibly funded all along. And finally, this leads me to my last point. Coming to you today is that this is your plan, and you have the flexibility and local control to make changes at your discretion. And it's these qualities that really keep us different among other pension systems in our own state and nationwide. The next slide talks, the next two actually are going to talk about your specific level of benefits. So employees here at Wichita County save 7% of their own income every time they get paid, and it goes into their TCDRS accounts. So their accounts are growing by deposits, but they're also growing by interest earned. And by state statute, our interest earnings for member accounts is 7%. Every year, their accounts are earning 7%. And that's happening over their career so that they can prepare for their own deposits and income in retirement. The next slide reflects the match. So Wichita County currently matches 2 to 1, $2 for every one of their dollars. But the caveat is they must become eligible by reaching one of our eligibility rules, and then they must choose a lifetime payout. See, the matching dollars are never paid out in a lump sum. You can never take that as your own. It doesn't belong to a member unless it's paid out in a lifetime retirement. And so, moving on to the next slide, we really highlight how we are unique as a plan based on your benefit levels. So, people are familiar with defined benefit plans, and sometimes they're familiar with defined contributions. But TCDRS is actually the best of both worlds. We're a hybrid of the two. So our benefit is based on the employee account balance and the match when they retire. So it's a cash balance system. The money has been saved over their career, as I mentioned. And then it is a lifetime pension, but the investment risk is shared, and here's why. The member doesn't get to choose what they get. That is decided by the decision makers who run the budget. And our job at TCDRS is to manage the portfolio very well. And your job is to adjust your benefits that you can afford. So between the member and TCDRS and our employers, being our counties and districts, we share the risk together. So when I look at your specific numbers, the next slide talks about what we paid out as a system. In 2020, TCDRS paid $1.7 billion in benefits, but I'm often asked, how does that apply to us? So we look at zip codes, actual benefit payees, retirees in your zip codes. And last year, you paid out $7 million plus to zip codes here in this area. And the reason that's important is because when we study where retirees are moving, 96% of them are staying in their own towns. So that money is coming back to your GDP, it's coming back to your environment, your local communities. And we see that across the state. 4% might go to Hawaii or somewhere, but 96% are staying in Texas. And that's where the money's coming from. And so we talk about jobs created and how we add to the Texas GDP as a system. Now the next slide is just a snapshot. I mentioned we have 3 eligibility rules, and you'll see them now on the screen. So as the employee, they're saving 7% from their check. The county is matching 2-to-1 at retirement. However, they must meet one of these 3 rules. As long as they hit one, they can earn the right to retire or receive a lifetime payout. So if they're age 60 and vested at 8 years, they can do the congratulatory dance. They can retire if they want to. Or if they meet the rule of 75, that means that we actually add their age plus their years of service. And if that equates to 75, they've met that rule. And then finally, 20 years, they don't have to be consecutive because sometimes people leave employment and they'll come back. As long as they have a combined 20 years, they get that rule. And actually, as an added benefit, this is not part of the retirement, it's an optional life insurance. Wichita County adds for active employees an optional life insurance that your county pays for. And really all it means is if an active employee should pass away, their beneficiary receives 1 times their annual earnings, be it salary or hourly, 1 times tax-free. That goes to the beneficiary. So that's on top of their retirement, and that can be removed at any time. It's certainly decided upon and funded by the county. So the next slide is very more of a story, if you will. We are often asked, if you don't receive state funds, then how does this fund your retirement pay out? We thought we'd use this image because if I told you that a Burger benefit dollar that went into a retiree's hands, if we had to evaluate where that money came from, 74 cents of a benefit dollar comes from our investment earnings, meaning a very diligently managed portfolio that we take care of with precision throughout the year. And then we have 15 cents that are coming from you all the counties and districts that fund and match. And 11 cents are coming from employees' pockets. This is the funding they're putting of their own money each month. So this is how we are not state-funded, but self-funded. The next slide actually talks about our portfolio. We are diverse across and within asset classes. Our information is public, and if you ever would like to know details, I invite you to visit tcdrs.org and go to our investment slide. I am not an investment manager. My job is to provide you with information to the investment managers, but they do make it public daily. We have a site that will show you the different asset classes. You can click on any one on our website, and it will show you who the managers are, the history, their performance, how long they've been with us, etc. And so we are diverse across and within because our portfolio is designed to achieve a certain level of success, and we are very diligent in keeping up with that design so that we adjust things as needed with any coming of the world. You know, we had 2008, we had the pandemic. Anything that hits us, we have to make adjustments accordingly. So speaking of how we did, that's what everybody wants to know. This is a glance at the last 35 years of our fund's performance against benchmarks that we are compared to. And you'll look at our total fund. We closed last year at 10.5. That was how we ended 2020. And we've looked across different years, you'll see how we did exceed benchmarks. The reason we didn't exceed our benchmark in 2020 is we actually chose to use more cash during that year with our fund and its performance. And we chose to use that liquidity for a reason because our decisions are always going to be for the long term. We're always going to look to the future. Taking account historical measures, we're always going to look to the future. Our investment managers decided to use more liquidity in that year. Also, in relation to the diverse, earnings that we earned, that was the decision they made. Other than that, we've always exceeded our benchmarks, and hopefully we'll continue to do that moving forward. I'd like to talk about what it means when we manage our portfolio. By design, we have a level of risk that is acceptable for us. Outside of that, it's not acceptable. So you'll notice this bandwidth, it's grayed out, if you will. Our portfolio has actually been performing the way it's supposed to within that level of risk. Our long-term goal prior to last year was an 8% goal. We tried to hit 8 every year. Not really hitting 8 exactly, but as long as we hit within that margin, plus or minus 12, and within that bandwidth, it was doing its job. Well, last year, in 2020, we actually adjusted our investment assumption from 8% to 7.5. And in fact, I have, in your documents that you can take a look at in a moment, we actually have a special note on page 1. And it is because, you know, our long-term outlook anticipates that rates and returns will remain below historical norms. And in doing so, we thought for the health of the portfolio moving forward, we needed to adjust our investment assumption. So we did to 7.5. But with that band risk also being adjusted, it's for the purposes of synchronizing our expectations with our assumptions. And if we stay on top of that and we keep things in sync, then we can keep in control and in charge of the way the portfolio performs for the health of the system long term. And you'll see there at the very end how we did close last year at 10.5. So moving along, if we look at what your planned funding is doing, I mentioned that while we pool funds for investment purposes only, every county and district funds their own retirement with us. Wichita County is doing very, very well. You're in excellent standing. You've been healthy for many, many years. Your employer rate beginning January of next year is 13.91, a very small increase from last year, even with the adjustment of the investment return. And by paying your rate, you're investing in all of your current employees' future benefits, and you're paying down your liabilities within a closed amortization period of 20 years. We've designed that so that you don't pass debt off to future generations. We want it to be funded in a closed period. So when we look at outside rating agencies' opinions of this, maybe Fitch and S&P, they rate the health of the system at 80% funded and higher, and you all have been well into the mid to high 80s for quite some time. So you're very healthy and well funded.
Now, Erica, let me ask you a question there. The 13.91%, that is only paying our $2 match, or does it help alleviate, does it ever help alleviate interest earned?
So what your 13.91 is paying is it's paying for everything that's required within Wichita County's, whatever their retirees earn. So you have a plan and the whole plan needs to be funded, what they earn each month. They're paying for their portion and you're paying for the match and you're paying for anything that goes within that demographic. So for example, let me give you an example of how that number may change. When people quit working here, they can actually pull out their money. They can take their own deposits and interest. Can't touch the match. Why? The match belongs to Wichita County. That stays here in your county assets, and that's rolled into your plan. So when we value it, we look at all these people that have terminated and forfeited their money. Guess what happens? Your costs go down a little bit because you have more assets. And so when we look at that number, it's funding all of the benefits that are due one day, but we take a lot of factors into account. Who forfeited the match? Who's ready to retire? Who are the new hires that you're just paying for? What are all of the payouts going to be? Who outlived their life expectancy? And how is Wichita County still paying for a 103-year-old? But remember, that money is being saved over the course of their career. And it's important, Commissioner, that you know that we value the plan every year. So we're very aware of these demographic changes. And so when you say, what does that pay for? It pays for future benefits due one day, while throughout their career, we're taking into account all of what's happening. You know, what assets were extra? How did we earn interest in our portfolio? Did we pass off gains to Wichita County? Interest that's paid to a member account, all of that is taken into consideration. So then, and thank you for asking. For the next slide, this might even give you some more detail on your question. We look at what changes occurred that affected your costs. So we actually call this slide reason for rate change. Why did your rate go from 13.87 to 13.91? And my decision makers want to know what happened to our plan. Well, you'll notice that for two of these numbers, there is a negative sign. That actually means a positive experience. It's backwards, but that's what that means. It's a positive impact to the county. Why is there a positive? Well, we still are passing off some gains to some of our investment earnings that did well. We smooth gains and losses over 5 years. So if you would imagine for me a pipeline, when we do well in the market, we're going to recognize those gains a fifth at a time for 5 years. And when we don't do well in the market, we recognize those losses. So you'll have a small impact to the investment returns where there's a gain recognized, and then some demographic changes. It looks to me at first glance, you might have had some people terminate and forfeit their money because assets stayed in your plan. So that negative 0.04 is a positive experience to the county. And then the assumptions and methods. I mentioned earlier that we adjusted our investment assumption from 8% to 7.5. Well, and that's future forward, that's a permanent adjustment. So when we go, if we think we're gonna make a little bit less with our portfolio, which is 7.5, then costs go up for our employers, and they went up a little bit for you, 0.14%. So when we take all that into consideration, your rate went up to 13.91. Not a huge increase, but it is something that we explain to you what occurred and why your cost changed. As decision makers, you can look at that and say, that's fine, we're gonna continue with our benefit levels as they are. You also have the local control and the flexibility to say, actually, Erica, we're gonna adjust our benefits next year, we're gonna lower the match, or we're gonna lower the employee deposit, or what have you. And that will actually give you an immediate cost savings, because when you adjust benefits to be lowered, well, then you have a lower cost. And as a court, you have every year the ability to do that. I looked at your history, and you haven't made changes in quite some time, everything's been very stable. You've also been in a very healthy state where you haven't really had to make many changes, but you do have that local control if you ever choose to implement. The next slide is actually a quick mention again about our investment performance. And we did say, looking forward, we do anticipate rates and returns below historical norms. And because the forecasts have decreased across asset classes, we made that change to a 7.5 investment assumption return. And let's see, when we look at your plan specifically, I'm here mid-year. That's usually a good time for me to speak to decision makers because our calendar is that we take a snapshot every December. We study your plan from January through April. We release costs in April, which is the plan assessment. It's the second document I've provided in your packet. And we educate our decision makers, I would say through November. And then by December 15th, all plan changes are due. That's a universal deadline we keep yearly. And if you don't want to make any changes, there's nothing this court has to do. But if you would like to, that would be a conversation that I'd have with you, and we'd look at what changes you're interested in, and I can run your numbers. And then the new rate goes into effect every January. So this calendar, if you see this timeline, we keep it the same every year because it really gives our decision makers an understanding of timing.
Now, Erica, did you mention that once an employee is invested, they have to have a plan in place as to how the disbursement happens, or?
Actually, no. We don't require anybody to make a decision about how they're going to receive their money. We have 7 options, if you will, until the day they retire.
Oh.
We often get asked a lot, which option may I select? Well, until you retire, you can't select an option.
Oh, okay.
And really, that's just to speak to your life changes so much. The day of retirement could look vastly different from when you're mid-career. So we do educate our members on the 7 options, but they can't make any choices until they retire.
Okay.
We actually get that question.
Backing up to slide 12, the investment returns were the row of benchmarks. Why was the benchmark so much higher in 2020? It was like 3.1% higher than any of those we've seen. We've got a 20 return, a 5, 10, 20, 30, 35. That seems like an awful high number.
That is a great question. Do you know specifically why the benchmark was higher? I can get that answer for you too. That's a
Yeah.
very
The
good question.
benchmark in 2020, and on our website, we have the 2020 State of the System webinar, and our Chief Investment Officer explains this also. But because of the pandemic and early on, in February and March, when the market was really, going down drastically, we took a position to convert some of our assets to cash, to position ourselves to have money to pay benefits.
Right.
So that's why we were off on the benchmark. Our board actually had an emergency meeting in March, and they decided to convert some assets to cash in a proportion that we normally don't do.
Yeah.
And
More
that's-
cash, less performing assets.
Correct.
Okay, good. I
So
was
so
wondering.
what establishes the benchmark? Is that you comparing other, like,
Like investments, yes, and we have probably 14 or 15 benchmarks, and those are all on our website, and it'll show you the benchmarks that we use and how we compare ourselves to
Yeah,
it.
so you're comparing y'all's performance against other similar investment?
Correct,
Okay.
through all asset classes.
Right, okay.
I think the interesting ones are yet to come. I'm afraid.
That's a kind of word for it.
Yeah, I'm afraid.
Scary ones are yet.
And finally, I believe the last slide is simply just a reflection of our team. You'll notice Amy and I there. We have 4 other colleagues because we handle regions. And I mentioned this was mine. And our job is always to provide reliable and timely information. We can come up and, offer training not only to decision makers, but we also offer ourselves available for members. We educate members both in person and actually after last year, virtually, that has increased quite a bit. But this is our job to certainly provide you with detailed information. There are documents that we release annually standard, and that is the plan assessment that you have in your packet. We release census data, SOC 1 reports for your auditors, summary evaluations that give you all of the detail about how you value your plan. And those are general, but if you ever wanted advanced information, my job is also to provide you that. For example, we provide economic impact studies. And if you're curious on ratios of what will happen under thousands of scenarios of the future. You mentioned, Commissioner, what the future might hold. We can run these scenarios of what might happen to your rate. If you just want to plan ahead in the next 5 years to the future of your costs, we provide studies that are unique that way. And that is certainly our job. We work with our internal actuaries in Nona, our external actuarial advisors, and then we work with our internal investment managers who give us that information that we're looking for. But, I'd like to stop now and open it up for questions. There might be questions even about the member side you might have, but anything you'd like to ask us.
I have a question, and I think, make sure, your 2-to-1 match for the county retirement, y'all don't do the 2-to-1 match till retirement. That's when you put in the two portions. The one retirement, my giving, my 1% going in, y'all don't match it until retirement time,
Until
correct?
retirement, that's
Okay.
right, it's a cash balance system, so at retirement.
Right, and
But we're funding it up front.
Yes.
We're
you're funding it,
We're
yeah.
putting it in the
It's going
piggy
into,
bank.
going into the county reserves. So y'all do offer a lump sum?
Partial lump sum, I will trust you, I do not believe that is offered by, no.
County doesn't have a partial lump sum? Because you said something a while ago about a lump sum. During your presentation, you said something about it, and I didn't, that's why I was asking. Municipal retirement has a lump sum. You can take a partial lump sum.
Correct, you are right. So in our system, we offer the availability to have a lump sum taken out at retirement. A member might choose to take out a portion for whatever the reason is. But in this Wichita County plan, the partial lump sum option has not been authorized. You certainly can as decision makers. You can add it to the plan and offer all of your members a partial lump sum withdrawal option. If you do, Commissioner, it's non-rescindable, so it stays on your plan for life. For example, Bear County, they have partial lump sum, it'll be there for life. But for some reason, it's not offered on this plan. And not a reason, it wasn't brought.
And I could see the reason not to, for the county's benefit. I mean, I can see a reason for that because you would, if a member dies and you lose that retirement benefit, I don't know what different options there have, but I see where it would be beneficial for the county financially, but I'm just looking at it from a payee or from a retiree. The sooner you can get your money out of a retirement, the better it is for you financially. Because if you do pass away, that money's gone.
That's true too. See, that's a future they can't predict. So for the
Right.
county, there is a cost to offer partial lump sum. There's a cost to offer that benefit. But for the member, it's really what is advantageous to them. If they can take out a lump sum in retirement. But Commissioner, it's interesting. When we have counties and districts that offer that option, we run estimates for members that show this is without taking out a lump sum.
Right.
And this is with that amount you requested. And 9 times out of 10, they say, never mind.
Most of them don't want to take it.
No, because
unless,
it shrinks their benefits so
Right.
much for life, then they think, oh, it was so much bigger when I had that.
Right.
Maybe a trip to Hawaii isn't as important, or the paying off the roof.
and it's all depends on what you do with that lump sum. If you wisely invest it, you can make better money usually. So most people don't want to take the chance.
Most people actually see those numbers and they say, never mind. And in fact, I just asked the director of the field team, I said, are you running a lot of partial lump sum estimates? She said, all the time, and they realized, well, never mind. It shrinks my benefit too much. So
Does it affect our rate If we do choose a lump sum?
Yes, if you add that option, there is a cost to the county. So instead of the 13.91, it would raise your percent of payroll that you would owe to us. I have a calculator called a customizer. I could run that for you, but there is a cost to the county if you do offer partial lump sum as an option.
Okay, thank you.
There's a benefit to the employee. There's a benefit to the employee to have that option.
Oh, I agree. I mean, that's why I'm asking that question. I can see where it's beneficial to the county not to have it. For long-term financial gain for the county, it has a better potential there. That's the reason I ask.
Well, I'm TMRS retired and took a partial lump from TMRS, so,
I did too,
yeah.
from TMRS. Not that I spent it on anything, but it's just invested somewhere else.
Sure.
The faster you can pull it out of your retirement account, the better you are.
In some retirements. I'm
In
gonna
some
tell you,
retirements,
in
yeah.
This one, you really need to look at the numbers, and there was an individual that asked me about this first time in 20-plus years. I had someone ask about the lump sum, and I looked into the cost, and the cost to the county is significant.
Yeah.
And that's the only request that I've had in that time, was for one of those. And in that particular individual, it was a good deal for them, but we didn't have that option. But once you select that option, you're
It
there.
never goes away.
It's part of the plan. And we also find it, in TCDRS, there are 7 payout options. The top 3 are called single life. They're really intended more for the member. They don't really pay another person for life, a second individual. But we have 4 options that are called dual life. And not only do you, the member, get a check for the rest of your life, but one beneficiary gets a check for the rest of theirs. And that you can leave them up to 100% of what you're earning for the rest of their life. So when people are looking at those estimates and they see that they give us an arbitrary number, I'd like to take a lump sum. Not only does it shrink their benefit, it shrinks the benefit for their loved one who would get it for life. And so you're affecting 2 life expectancies, 2 lifetimes. And when they see that, they go, never mind. It's just the way our cash balance with the match is paid out so well that lump sum, unless they have a plan that's meticulously prepared, it just doesn't benefit them in the long run. They lose too much a month, not only them, but their loved one for life as well.
Can you ever draw more than you funded or more than the plan was funded?
You live long.
If you live long enough, you could.
If you have a
could.
life expectancy, Wichita County will pay for that member. You look at, you're paying for all retirees. If we were to give you an aerial view and you were to really look at patterns, you have those that don't live to life expectancy, you have those that meet the margin, you have those that extend it, so it's just a mix of everything. And that's why we value your plan every year, because we're taking a look at who outlived a life expectancy. What is Wichita County funding? And this court is giving this information on an annual basis, so there are no surprises. And the savings-based feature is very key, because someone might have a large retirement, but you don't have to worry. That money's been saved over their career. This is not a surprise. People often ask me, well, Erica, will our costs go up because we have 4 hot retirees? No, you've been paying for them. The money's already there. It's just time to now pay them out. You funded the match over their career, and they funded themselves.
I had one. We have people, and unfortunately, they get very ill, even terminally ill, and they can eventually consume all of their paid time. But they're still in that slot because all of us are hoping they're going to come back. One of the reasons I think people stay is because of the death benefit. One is, are you still eligible if you're no longer receiving pay but you're carried on the payroll? And then second, is there any ability to come in and say, I'm terminally ill, here's a letter from my doctor, that they can go ahead and collect partial or all of the death benefit, or?
So that's a great question too, because of circumstances and what that I'll ask you.
Yeah.
I'll answer the second part of your question first. When somebody is terminally ill or they're facing a disability, they can apply for disability retirement with TCDRS. We have 3 physicians that are independent, and they review all disability applications. And in those cases, we encourage the member to apply. And if they qualify for the disability retirement, they're immediately in receipt of what their benefits are with the match. But that's determined by our independent board physicians on a disability retirement. Other than that, they can't really touch the funds. It's really only for retirement unless they become disabled. The first part of your question under survivor benefit, that survivor benefit is fantastic. You do not have to even be working here to still qualify for survivor benefit. If your members have 4 years of service and they terminate employment, but they left their money here, they never pulled it out, and they should pass away, their beneficiary still can receive the survivor benefit. That means whatever money they have in their accounts is matched by Wichita County, and they can get a lifetime payout because they need at least 4 years of service. So the survivor benefit is huge in that the caveat is don't pull your money if you separate employment. So for example, Judge, if they're ill and they're not working, but they didn't pull their money and they should pass away, absolutely their beneficiary gets the survivor benefit. They get their money matched by the county, and then they get the lifetime payout in lieu of and in honor of the deceased, because they are the survivor. They get the benefit. But each member needs 4 years of Wichita County service to qualify for survivor benefit. And we do see that sometimes people leave their money in the system. They see that they're earning 7% interest, and they see that they have the survivor benefit. But in the general conversation, we see more withdrawals than anything else. We are a retirement system, and more people withdraw their money. A lot of patterns, people aren't staying for 30-year careers anymore. They're staying for short periods of time and moving on, and when they move on, they take out the money. But if they are wise enough to leave it, they continue to earn that interest, and they can leave it with us until they're 70 and a half, it's earning interest, actually 72. They can leave that money and use this as a savings account, and they can also have that survivor benefit. And finally, if they go work for another county, or another district in TCDRS, or TMRS or ERS, we count that time. So if they left their money, guess what? One day they could become eligible. They have to leave their money in the system, and that's a tough one for some people.
7% guaranteed money in today's market, that's pretty good. It's a safe investment.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And they're allowed to leave it till they're 72.
Unless you're still working. Then you
Unless you're still working, you
Right.
can keep working
Yeah.
for as long as you like, and there's no age limit. Absolutely. The 72 is just someone who terminated employment, they're just kind of letting their money grow with interest. But if you want to keep working, absolutely.
Anyone in the audience have any questions? Any of y'all? All right. Well, thank you all very much. Thank you for coming up here. It's great to see you all. It's been a long time, and so that's well.
Thank you for having me.
Great information, thank you.
Thank you. And anytime you have questions, you just let me know. I'm happy to.
And in the packet, you did not have cards, so my card is there. Feel free to call me, and I'd be happy to let you talk to Erica.
Yes. Orders are happy to have to order some new ones. So thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you. And you all are welcome to stay, or you can go on. I know you've got to go back to Austin. I don't know what time your flight is and all that, but,
We
okay.
appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. This time I would like to deviate from the agenda and recognize the Honorable Senator Drew Springer from the 30th District. Sir, glad to have you. And if you'd like to,
It's good to see everybody.
Yes, sir.
Good to be back
yes, sir.
in God's country and out of the People's Republic of Travis County.
They may be glad for you to be here too.
Yeah, no, I think they are. But, yeah, we just wrapped up session on the 31st, getting back into the district. Although it doesn't look like I'll be here long, so the governor has not set the date for the special session. But as he vetoed the line item for the legislature in the budget, it tells you we will definitely be back soon. July 5th seems to be everybody's best guess. Hence, I've tried to move vacations for my 30th wedding anniversary around on that. But, you know, we've got a handful of bills left, but I think overall we had a good session, good budget. We funded education, HB 3, and I think that's a big milestone. I mean, what we do is to make sure we have the workforce coming in, trained, you know, ready to go off to college or ready to have a skill to come in, and so that's obviously one of our big deals. $30 billion more for TxDOT, so we know roads is a critical part of our core functions government. And, you know, put more money into Texas Healthy Women. We put another, you know, more money into mental health, probably not as much as the court nor myself would like to see, because I know that's continues to be one of our biggest challenges we have in that regards. Put more money in cybersecurity and IT infrastructure. You know, I think we're going to continue to see that be one of our bigger challenges going forward from that standpoint. So really making sure we covered the core functions. Appreciate the calls and the comments from y'all. Let me know where y'all stood on issues. You know, election integrity, the bill that failed, you know, I look at it as it's fairness for those in the electorate, Burke Burnett, and Wichita Falls, and the county, and just like Munster. I mean, I have 12 hours to vote in a November general election in Munster, Texas. And that's because unless I want to drive 15 miles to go to the courthouse to early vote, I don't get to early vote. Harris County made up the rules as they went, and that's why we're trying to say we need uniformity across the state. And that's really what we're working on to make sure that we take care of that. We also did, I think we did a good job with our first responders and adapting to the pandemic, making sure we passed SB 22 that I carried, which had presumptive coverage for those first responders or jailers or sheriff's deputies, constables, and making sure that that was in quarantine leave. And sadly, we're seeing an attack on our law enforcement first responder community. Good thing is the Texas economy did better than we thought. It seemed like every week the comptroller would bring us a little more money. We spent about $90 million to put bulletproof windshields in every DPS trooper's car. And that's because we lost 4 troopers getting shot through the windshield in the last just over a year. And so, and some are just brazen set up attacks where they're calling it a false deal to come and try to shoot them. And it's just, it's a challenging part of the society. Y'all have to do you know, look into those things and make sure we keep everybody safe, as we have so many people driving through Wichita, going from the Metroplex to other states. And so, you know, those were that. You know, again, look forward to coming back, seeing everybody, doing more detailed town halls and stuff, but continue to work together. Anything I can answer for you guys?
Yes.
42 questions here.
Drew, we're concerned about the Truscott Lake project, and has there been any thoughts, or have you been involved with anyone that maybe has an overall plan forming that?
You know, it did not get much attention at all this session, so I think it's just going to be one of those interim deals that we continue to talk about and figure out where we go from it.
Maybe more in Congressman Jackson's area.
Yeah.
In your all's, although Texas Water Development Board and some other things may be players to help with us. We had an informal discussion with the mayor and the city manager here about could they actually take over those facilities and run them. And they said, well, yeah, that would be a whole lot better than us trying to build new facilities to treat that desalination. Problem is, that's such an easy solution that whether we can convince the feds that it's all right to just let us run it and not to buy it from them.
No, I would be happy to work with Ronnie on that and figure out, you know, what we could do jointly to work on that.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. The other thing you mentioned, the integrity bill, and granted that is important. There's a couple of things, I don't know if they're still in there. I didn't make it all the way through that.
Yeah, well, it'll all be new, so let's, if there's something that was or wasn't, then we can talk about it. I know that one of the things in there I think we're gonna talk about is the Sunday voting will probably be 11 o'clock instead of 1 o'clock.
Okay. The two things that kind of concerned us, I'm sure you've noticed the average age of poll workers is not 20-something.
Correct.
Okay.
Now,
Some of the provisions for poll watchers put that judge in a very difficult situation. They can be charged with a Class B misdemeanor. There's no requirements in what I've read, and I haven't reread all of this, that those poll watchers are trained or have ever been a poll worker. And I can see setting up a situation there, we're going to have trouble getting these people to work those if you've got an overly zealous poll watcher that there's not any safeguards on.
Yeah, if that poll, and I did hear from several of my judges, it's like, look, I'm here just because I'm doing my civic duty to try to help preserve our liberties and fair elections, and I'm not partisan one way or the other from there. And I don't like the idea that some poll watchers will be sticking a video camera in my face and coming through those. And so, you know, the video camera piece came out of it from there. I'm not sure. I'll have to figure out what the the Class B aspect on that was, and check on that.
Well, if that judge tells that poll worker, you're interfering with my election, go out,
Yeah.
that's a charge.
Yeah,
And there needs to be a point that the judge is in control of that. Make the complaint if they're, but to put a punishable by jail offense in there is.
and as you know, we do a lot of legislation based on reactions, and some of those are, if there is no penalty, it doesn't matter what you put in the rules, they can make up and do what they want to do, and that's what we saw in Harris County. And so I think that's the reason there has to be some of those, how do you find that balance, though, that says, look, I just don't want trumped up charges coming through constantly to where nobody wants to serve as the judge.
Right, and, and we also have had overly zealous judges that tended to take their, which instantly do have had some unique powers as a judge at a voting location.
Right.
The other thing in there was a deal about, and I'm picturing when we close a poll at CAMA, Texas, that you have to start videoing every procedure of shutting down and streaming that. Okay, you have trouble getting cell signals in CAMA, Texas. And that was bracketed at counties 100,000 plus.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure we have the electronics to support that, or the necessity, really.
Well, we need to make sure that if we have technical issues because of cell or broadband issues that, because just because you're a county of over 100,000, as you say, doesn't mean you don't have pockets that are very rural.
Yes, sir.
That look even more rural than Munster, Texas does. It looks more like you're out in Civils Bend type of deal.
Yeah.
So, understand that. I'll point out somebody who just joined me last week on my staff. I have a new district director who is Dion Starnes. Many of y'all may have seen Dion around. In her role as SREC for Senate District 30. And now I will say this, and Dion's probably listening to all this because she is the expert when it comes to election laws and running elections. And I was glad to bring her on to my staff to make sure that we can make sure we're listening to those and addressing those issues as we go forward with whatever new version of SB 7 comes out.
Okay, well, there's some very good things in there.
Oh, absolutely. We all want to see, everybody up here, and I believe everybody in this room wants to see fair elections, meaning, I don't want to see, whether it's a Republican or Democratic precinct, to have one machine while the other one has 50, so we can make lines longer because we don't like that party's in charge.
Sure.
Wichita doesn't do that. Nobody in Senate District 30 does that, but we've seen that done in Travis and Harris County. And that's, so when you see, well, these aren't problems. Well, they're not problems here, but they are in other places in the state. And if they're able to increase their votes and do that more than Wichita can, then it dilutes the impact that Wichita deserves to have on an election.
Drew, no matter what we write, will it receive federal scrutiny? I mean, can we write rules and expect them to be there?
We can. I mean, they're supposed to be trying to move HR 1 in DC to federalize all elections. I think that people go, well, where do the Republicans compromise? Republicans aren't going to compromise. He says, we believe that's a states' rights issue, that states run their elections. What we have, it doesn't matter how we do it, because while Delaware doesn't have any early voting, only has day of voting, and we have 2+ weeks of early voting, we may have a higher percentage turnout, but when the Electoral College kicks in onto the federal side of presidential elections, it doesn't matter. And that's why we don't need to go to federalizing these.
No.
Absolutely not.
Redistricting, we don't think we're getting we expect sometime in October to be the special session for redistricting, where we'll draw the Senate, the House, and the congressional maps. And I think that we're looking sometime in August is our expectation of getting the data in from the census. So y'all can draw y'all's, we can draw ours, and be able to put those in places. Still a good chance that we're going to be able to have a March primary, but we do have precautions in there to have April or May, depending if there's delays getting that information out of the feds.
That's what we were kind of wondering whether that was going to move the elections at all.
It's a potential. Nobody wants to see ours moved, so we'll do everything we can to get those done quickly, so we can keep ours on time.
Very good.
Sorry. Please try to keep on. It'll make my life so much easier.
This must be my elections administrator. And trust me, I stood on street corners on July 31st, 2012, and about died of sweat and heat exhaustion. I don't want to be doing that next year either. I'm also 10 years older, it'd be a little tougher on me. So,
Well,
but,
we're glad the outcome was what it was.
no, I appreciate that, and look, I'm like y'all, I'm here to serve our shared constituents, and, any communication, is always welcome and appreciated. Text, I know I feel like everybody has my cell phone, so if you don't, it says it's not even Kevin Bacon, or you're only 1 degree off. I mean, if you don't have one person who has my cell phone, you're not very sociable, in that regards, but, no, absolutely, so. Look forward to seeing y'all at events. I know we've got the rodeo coming up and a few others, and so we'll be back around. Just let us know what's going on.
Hotter than Hell is gonna happen this year live, and it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
You're welcome to ride, Drew.
Got meetings tonight?
I must have to say, I have to train. Although biking has a little support group in Austin, and so I was talking to one of the bike enthusiasts, we were talking about the Hotter Than Hell, and they go, hey, we can position like 3 electric bikes for you along the deal. Put you on a real bike for the last mile. And I'm like, oh, that's all I need is a video of Drew hopping off an electric bike, no sweat on it, wind blowing, and then hop on a bike and start riding.
Scandal in Fallstown.
Oh, yeah. That might be a good motivator for me to get back out and exercise some more. But, no, I look forward to coming up for Hotter Than Hell. And so I've ridden in the pre-warm-up. We always try to call the Munster into April as sort of a warm-up one. But I know for both of our communities, bicycling is a big deal. So, all right.
We appreciate Mitch coming as often as he can to our Commissioners Court
Obviously,
meetings.
you
Always.
got Mitch here full-time, and so he's always available to reach out, and he'll get anything to us and our staff and down there in Austin. But appreciate everything you guys do. Appreciate our first responders and everything you guys do and everybody else. Thanks.
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you.
We'll see you at lunch.
All right.
Alrighty. Item number 2 is to receive a monthly report from the constable's office. We'll start with precinct 1, unless one of the other constables has something you all need to get out of here for.
I've got copies for you guys for them.
Oh,
I just
thank
read
you.
the first and last page because there's 57 pages to it.
Is that working good for everybody, the Odyssey report?
It
mean-
printed up just fine, didn't have any issues with it. So other than, you have a whole package to it, but y'all need to see the whole.
It broke it down quite.
Yeah, quite a bit. So I just did the first page, the last page, that's your balances and numbers.
What does
I
yours
think
say?
if you guys take a look at that, I think what you're gonna see is,
I may need that
of
now.
course, when I started in January, right in the middle of the apocalypse or whatever that thing's called, pandemic, we weren't doing a lot, which was really good for us. We had, say we weren't doing a lot, we didn't have a lot of new work, we had a lot of old work left over. We had over 150, was it? 147 cases left from the last administration that we had to serve in 2021. So that gave us some time to get things started. Of course, we had a brand new office. Luckily, it didn't take long for Ms. Woodruff to get in and get acclimated and get everything started, and she's done a bang-up job for us. I think if you'll notice, we've done over 700 papers, close to 800, and this is as of
May 31st.
May 31st, which is going to put us a little under what we were last year, but they've opened the tap with the courts, the justice courts especially, and our numbers there have just kind of shot through the roof. Give you an example, Friday, which is usually not a very busy day, Friday morning, we had 7 sit-outs. And sit-out is a pretty involved situation where you actually go into a residence, remove individuals, and then you have to stand by while their property is removed. We had 7 of those scheduled Friday morning over at the Marine Street Apartments. And of course, the Housing Authority, right here in a minute. The Housing Authority has been moving too, and we're doing those usually 10 or 12 at a time when we're doing set-outs over there. And that's the way I run that. That's all hands on deck. We have all the constables there. We have any threat at all, we usually bring in the SO2. Of course, you know, mine is we're going to act out of an abundance of caution. These are probably our highest priority, our highest danger point in the kind of work that we do. And we had one this morning at 8 a.m. Where we had SO having to back us up on that one. We stay quite busy with those. I think the one that you guys are probably most interested in is money. And you can see on your report too that we brought in almost 100,000 at this point. I look for that number to go repeat that and then some by the end of the year because of the increased work that we're getting now. We stay very, very, very busy with that. I think you can see what we're doing there in front of you. Is there any questions that y'all have of us? Or?
Help me, I want to say Judge, help me, Judge Phil, make sure that I understand. So the JP takes money, this 100,000 flowed through a JP's office, right? And
Most of it. We also get it from district and county courts.
right.
Some, but
And then those fees roll up. I get a fee schedule from them, but I can't see specifically your fees. But this report, specifically, when you generate paper, it has a value associated with it, and y'all are able to run that. What happens to dollars when Archer County comes over and says, Mike, can you serve these papers for us? Here's the papers. What, that money, how is it reflected?
well, it kind of depends. It may be a situation where they just, you know, because we get this sometimes. I had a case out near Lake Airhead. Lake Airhead Estates out there. And really, I think it ended up being Clay County or whatever.
Yeah.
By the time I got out there and kind of figured out where it was, because it wasn't something I could find on one of our maps, I realized, well, we're way out of Wichita County. But I went ahead and made an attempt. And I went back and wasn't able to. And I know it's one of those we're going to have to keep, it was UG paper, one of those that we're going to have to keep going back to. At that point, I just sent it on over to Clay County and said, you're going to need to serve, you know, that's in your county. So occasionally we'll do those, but typically if it's going to be something, we may do it once. If it's something that we're going to have to go back to several times, we'll send it to the proper county to get it done. But just as a matter to expedite the paperwork for the court hearing so the court can get them in, you know, we'll generally give it a try if it's, you know, within reason. If it's way out in Archer County or way out in Clay County, no, we'll send it over there.
But is there paper generated that comes into the office that's already generated that's not?
And then sometimes we also get checks that come with a payment. And
She'll generally call them and tell them, hey, you need to send us a fee for this.
Okay, does this 96,000 reflect that?
Because everything's entered to Odyssey, so everything that comes even also Attorney General, all of it's sold here.
Okay, okay.
And the Attorney General now, it's Attorney General paper, they actually pay the 66% of the cost to the other county, correct? Not,
I think so, if I get it right down.
no, they should be paying that other county. for that service at their discounted rate.
Yeah, but, like I said, we, some of this is, we're gonna, I had, Clay County come over, and actually the judge, Judge Heath of Clay County, come over and asked us to serve a couple of papers for his court, and just did it as a favor to do that, but it's not something that you do every day, it's just a while that you'll do that kind of stuff. But, typically, if, when it goes through, Lisa will look at it. If we get like an Archer County court wanting us to serve somebody on a civil thing, Lisa's gonna call them and say, hey, you need to send us
Right.
$125 service fee, and they will. And so we
But there's a place for that, Lisa, in Odyssey, that's not a non-generated paper, but a fee collected.
Yes,
Oh.
each service that we put in there and whatever it is, what kind of paper it is, it'll service the fees that they knock in there.
Cool, cool.
Thanks, sir.
This, I mean, it helps every time to look at those numbers, and then the last time y'all had showed us collectively when we met, I don't know, budgets or whatever it was, you're running in the black, and that's, fantastic.
Yeah, we've been,
Y'all do it.
and the business, we are getting so busy, it's just crazy. We'll walk in, go to lunch, come back in, and she'll have 15 papers for Matt, and she'll have 20 for Kyle, and so many for me, and that's just generated over the lunch hour, and she prints them out, gets them out, and, we're stacking them with the stack, and going out and hitting it, so we're staying plenty busy. I would like to ask this, and at least for y'all to consider, on bringing these reports to you, I think it may work better if we did it quarterly.
Yes.
Would you?
Commissioner Watson's want to ask for the monthly.
Yeah, that would be great.
I think it would work better. I think we'd be able to bring and show any difference that's going on in that way, you guys have more time for all the other business.
Well, and the other thing, unless we may, since you made, they could be a report, they could be part of the consent agenda unless there was something we wanted that constable. Because they are going to be, this set out thing is gonna, July 1st, it's gonna go, and there was a recent federal judge set aside, said that the CDC did not have the authority to make that order.
And I think that's, looking at that from my judicial perspective, I think he's spot on. I don't care what side you're on.
Yeah.
But I think the legal argument is spot on, and I think it's gonna hold all the way up. I don't see it not.
Well, last time, the housing area had over 100 that should be on your list.
Yeah. So we're pretty busy. We have a conference we're going to. Another thing, part of this thing that as the new constable, car expenses, that kills me all the time. Every time I take one to get repaired, I'm like, oh my God, it costs that much. But the other thing is training. We have to keep our training updated, so we have a conference we're going to this week that they're doing in Denton, which is nice because it's just right down the road. And we've got that, and then when they get back, Matt and Kyle have 16 hours they're going to do, and then that will catch us up. We'll be good for the next, until August of 22.
Do y'all get together, all the constables, do you talk periodically?
We do, in fact, Virtue is
Yeah.
he's sneaky.
Gentlemen, we need to move along.
Yeah, of course, we talk with Jared quite a bit, but I do talk with David. I haven't seen James in a while, but.
Well, those fee adjustments is what I wondered about, if there's ever an opportunity to bump, and y'all see, that opportunity, we'd sure like to do that, because they'll get old and stale, the prices, and we saw last time.
I remember the last time I have the fees that I printed up because I wanted to see how much it's gone up.
I know when we changed them the last time, Judge.
About 3
it had
years
been
ago.
Years.
Yeah, it
It
had.
was, and then it increased. We got busier when we went up on fees. so.
Yeah, I believe it, yeah. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Constable Burson?
You'll excuse us with
Yes, sir. Go get busy.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
How are y'all today?
Almost
I
afternoon.
got some, it's almost lunchtime.
Well,
I got some printouts for you again.
Thank y'all.
Did something a little bit different as well to kind of look. You'll notice on our January, it took us until March until we could get up on the computer.
Right.
When we took over in January, they were still working off a logbook. So a lot of this stuff is not in the computer. However, with that being said, I was able to find some time to sit down and print out what I would call a quarterly report. It was a graph. And what that shows is the numbers on January and February. March, again, was the time when we were able to get Odyssey up and running for us 100%. I mean, I like it too.
Is this just a January report, Jerry?
No, sir, that's from January. It starts in January '01. Let me see on the back here. It goes all the way to, my date's at. It goes all the way to June,
Okay.
I think 16th.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, because it shows, because there's not a lot of January or February.
Oh, okay.
If you look at that graph I just gave you, that kind of gives you, the money-wise is on there on what was in Odyssey or Tyler. And again, we didn't have the January, February in Tyler. But if you look at this quarterly report, what it shows is that we're slowly trending upward. And I know I put bailiff duties on there. That is what we're required to do by statute as well. And if you look at the bailiff duties low, January, February, you'll start seeing that trend firing up. With those bailiff duties, a lot of times is our writ of possessions. And those are our move-outs. And so our writs are slowly moving up. As a matter of fact, last week we served 15 evictions within one day, just for my office. Came in after lunch and there was 15 sitting on the desk. So that's, our writs are firing up and our Attorney General papers are.
Citations, they're going down.
Well, March was heavy on citations. And then coming in, everywhere else, it just kind of plateaued out. I'm really interested in keeping this one going for the rest of the year, and then as long as I'm in office to see, we can kind of see what the trend looks like, especially on the program. Excited to be on the Tyler program with our paper processes because it's got some really good reports that you can print off on.
Do you think that this money will double, probably?
I see us going up. Our paper processes.
Maybe be more than double.
Yes, sir. All of our writs are 200 fees, and January, February, March, we didn't have a lot. But our writs are really firing up.
Good, good.
Yeah. Very good.
Anything else?
Great.
No, thank you very much
Yes,
for your
sir.
time.
And you're getting no problem Odyssey-wise, you're working it just perfect.
Oh, it's working well for us. As a matter of fact, we were able to get, in my car, it's got a tablet in there. As soon as I get a service, I just push the button and hit serve, and it's right on top of it.
Wow.
And it works really well. I can get back to the office and print out my returns and be done. Working on the well for us.
Okay.
If y'all will have my email if you have any questions when it comes to these. Like I said, I'm going to keep these quarterly reports for sure going. But if you just holler at me, I'll get on there and print off, and I can PDF these and mail them to you. Email them to you. It works out really, really well.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, y'all have a great day.
Okay. Let's jump down to 5, and then we're going to recess, and we'll reconvene. Ms. Pack is with us today. Pam, tell us about your new position quickly, please.
Thank you. I am the new manager of public affairs for Atmos Energy, and my goal this year is to build a closer relationship with the county commissioners because most of my territory is rural, and it should be a priority that I have that relationship with you in case we have any issues or concerns that we might need to address. Can I give you my card?
Sure.
Okay.
Great.
So
So if you need me, there's my email and my work phone. Some of y'all have my personal. I already gave you one.
Yes,
but-
ma'am, thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
So if you need anything.
So you took
call
over
me.
after Randy?
Yes,
Oh,
he
cool.
finally retired after 48 years,
Wow.
so. But he helps me as much as he can. He's still helping me.
Great
along
guy,
just
great
because
guy.
he cares, and,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great guy, so. But, whatever I can do for you, please let me know. Just keep that on hand, and I'll try to be present as much as I can for your meetings too.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, or Judge Gossam.
Yeah, whatever. Better than some things, I'll call it.
Yeah.
All right, Chief, we had some questions. It kind of, you know, a 2009 vehicle and a $7,000 bill. And first there was some concern that how did it use 15,000 gallons worth of fuel? But that was just a blended-in bill. So,
It's currently being used by Boyd, who's he's over records and
right.
takes pictures, things like that, does our crime scene processing. The vehicle's not hard used. When I've reviewed its jacket, the only thing that's been wrong with it has been preventative maintenance stuff, things that are supposed to wear out, ball joints, things like that. It's still in good working condition, and we have no plans of replacing that anytime soon. Obviously, we haven't asked for any cars this year. We don't plan on doing so. But next year, we do expect to probably replace his, maybe somebody else's. But that one won't be replaced and sold. It'll be dropped down in the fleet to someone else. So we just felt that the $7,000 was all right to go ahead and spend on it to make sure that he keeps running for this year. Because if not, he's got to have something.
Right.
We can't send him home.
That's the sheriff's old car, I think, isn't
Yes,
it?
sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
sir.
thought
Was
it
that, Patrick, is that, when you looked at the bill, and I didn't see the bill, but was it in line? I mean, the charges that?
Yes, sir. The motor was brand new. It wasn't remanufactured, so $5,000 for a new Chevy is about what it costs for the new motor. And $2,000's not off on installation fees for that.
You know, one of the things to look for, this is an LS engine. Though that series of LSs have got the single bolt in the oil pickup tube, it really ought to have two. Anytime you do a high performance one, you put the other bolt in. And what happens is that thing backs off, that oil tube gets to vibrating, it cuts that O-ring out and oil pressure drops. So
That's exactly what happened.
we need to tell everybody, if that oil pressure begins to fluctuate at all, we need to get it in, get the pan off of it, and get that O-ring and that other bolt put in it. Why that Chevrolet didn't put those in there, I don't know, but that's a common problem.
I didn't know that, but I knew that it was an oil pressure
Yeah,
problem.
that's any fluctuation on any of those Tahoes, if they begin to notice oil fluctuations, let's get it in the shop, because we can prevent losing that motor. That's a common problem, and that's something we really need to just tell the guys to watch for it. In other words, don't drive it another, 2 or 3 months. If it starts giving trouble, let's get it in the shop.
Yes, sir.
And that's really important. But yeah, Judge, this is pretty much straight up, and that is a good vehicle, so this is a good deal.
But the other thing, though.
Well, not a good deal, but
No.
it's an okay deal.
When you
but
know
yeah.
something's going over 5,000, that really, and sometimes you don't. They tell you it's gonna be this, and then there's more, but according to our policy, that should come back to court before it was agreed to spend 7 on it.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Do that.
And don't, you are one of many that, and 4 of here, so you forget that sometimes. So,
Yes, sir. I can do that.
Or at least 3 of them.
or at least 3.
Yeah, but 44 for
We
a
need a
crate
motion
engine
to put
is
fruit to pay.
straight up. I mean, that's what they cost.
Yeah.
So,
So, at any rate, I appreciate your time this morning, but I just, had to hear some reasoning behind that.
I completely
You gave
understand.
that.
It seems like a lot, and when Nancy sent me that email, said how many miles, and I called Boyd, I said, how many miles that thing got? He said 175,000.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can understand the questions.
But it's straight and clean. It's a nice,
Yes, sir.
still nice truck, yeah.
That new motor's got it going good.
Yeah.
It'll give us a couple more years of service.
Yeah.
Do you need a motion, Judge?
No, sir. I'm sorry we do on that. Just separate
So
that.
moved.
Second, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, watch that oil pressure fluctuation. That's a common problem. In our fleet, we could have several of those. So it's something to kind of make a note of.
I'd say you probably shouldn't drive it 2 or 3 days, not 2
Oh,
or 3 months.
no. Oh, that's
Because
my point.
if you see
Yeah.
any fluctuation in
Yeah.
that, Yeah.
We got a motion by Commissioner Watts, second by Commissioner Beecham.
Yes,
To go ahead and approve the bill as stated. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Let's go up to number 4 real quick and get it out of the way. Thank you, Patty.
Motion to pay the bills, Judge.
second.
Any comments or questions about any one of the bills? Okay, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries 5-0. All right, we will recess until 2 o'clock. Commissioner Buchanan and I have a meeting at 1:30 that was set up when I didn't realize we were gonna run over this far. And we'll open the bids on road materials and continue the agenda
And hopefully,
o'clock, Judge? At 2 o'clock.
and hopefully
It's
be pleasant
11:38
surprise.
now and we're recessed.
Are we going to talk some budgets?
Yes, we can. It's on the agenda.
What'd you say, Willie, with what? Oh,
Yeah.
No, that ain't bad.
I'll do that.
Get a hot butter on.
A little pepper sauce on them greens, oh, man.
That ain't bad.
All right, it's 2 o'clock. We're back into session. And let me go back to one consent agenda item I need for us to go back and correct that I've got to do this morning. So one. Have you?
Judge.
11. Okay, that's what they've done. We need to add Bob Hampton into that, so what I'd like for us to do is to pull item 11 down and reconsider it. And so that there's, because that, all of those 457 plans have to be signed off on by an officer of the county for people to get their money out. I don't understand that, but that's the way it is.
Are
But
we in session? Oh, we're still
yes,
in.
yeah.
Judge, I'd make a motion that, we, agree to, item number 11 with the addition of Bob Hampton.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
and Judge, just clarification on that, 6, Matt sent me that, and there was a separate invoice billed for that.
Okay. All right, let's stick to one subject at a time, gentlemen, please. Okay. We have a motion to reconsider item number 11 from the consent agenda and add Mr. Hampton to those authorized signature authorities. We have a motion by Commissioner Waller, second by Commissioner Beecham. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. All right.
Who has been those, Judge?
It's been generally, it was me and Deb Stevens. And then, of course, Deb's left, or we hadn't had, those are, I get maybe one of those a year.
Oh.
Now, Bob says, you know, you need to advise those people, talk to them, that they're gonna pay taxes. Generally, the David Farabee or his counterpart and one of those others is gonna tell people all of that information.
Right.
And, you know, I've never talked anybody out of it. That, you know, they really do lose all the way around. In my book, they're doing that. Okay, we're down to item 3, open road material bids, for the second half of 2021, and take action as necessary.
Okay.
Do you have any?
We have 7.
Good Lord.
We couldn't get any before, now we got 7.
7?
The first one, Judge, is from Rockin' A Trucking.
For hauling,
Okay, and Rockin' A, it bids hauling rock only. And from DeLacy to points in Wichita County ranges from $12.50 to $15. $12.50 in Burke and $15 in Electra. And if you get it from Ingram, and he's got this broken out, it varies from $7.50 to $10. And from the Smith plant for Zach Burkett, it's $13 to $17. And for Richards at Springfield, Zach Burkett, $11.50 to $15.50. And Salvation Industries from $5 to $8. Okay, who else?
Next one, Judge, is Overland Corporation. I believe that's new. Is it?
never heard that one.
It all else?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. They have bid. By the way, they did send cards for y'all.
Did they do everything, Judge?
Well, hang on. Well, they filled out W-9 and they returned our bid sheet. And,
Something on the back.
thank you. And on the back, oh, okay, here we go. Golly. For asphalt, for hot mix, hot lay, type A, FOB, their plant is $44.76 per ton. And for a hot mix, hot lay type B is $44.76. And for a hot mix, hot lay type C is $53.76 per ton. And C is your topping, isn't it? And that's all they bid out of all that. And that's FOB, their Lawton plant.
Next one's T&G.
See, I all of a sudden wonder if they took T&G's place.
That need to go with it.
Yeah. Guess they're anticipating the award letter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. P&G has bid FOB, their plant in Lawton. Hot mix is $47.95. Cold lay is $65.50. Delivery to Wichita Falls for a hot lay is $66.50. Cold lay is $80.15. Valley View $69.50 and $83.50. Owl Park $69.50 and $83.50. Burt Burnett $65.50 and $80.50. And Electra is $67.50 and $82.50.
The next one, Judge, is going to be from Mark Lancaster Asphalt and Fuel Supply, Tulsa.
Long way.
Free hauling. Free hauling.
Yeah, sure. He slept on toes
Okay,
alone.
they have bid the following cutback oils, and they bid FOB And then it looks like they add 10 cents a gallon for delivery. For MC 250 is $2.15, and for MC 800 is $2.10. For MC 3000 is $2.08, and for MC 30 is $2.18. And there is a little variation in those delivery prices added on to that. They did include all Wichita County locations.
Zach Burkett.
Governor, you're supposed to do it like this.
Yeah,
Give us a
Karnak.
quote.
Yeah.
Give us quotes. They're supposed to do that before we open.
Yeah, but it's easier with it open, you know. Okay, Zach Burkett has bid the following asphalt products: patch and pave, $90 a ton in Lawton, 103 in Wichita Falls, 105 Value, 104 in Iowa Park, 105 in Burke, 106 in Electra. Must be some good stuff. Hot mix hot lay is $72 a ton at the plant, and coal lay is $62.50, and ranges delivered prices of $75, $77, and $79 a ton. They also have bid aggregates of 3/8 cover at $12 and $25 to $28 a ton delivered, which that gives you a little bit of base of what Rocky Hay is bidding. They also bid 1-inch crusher run at $8 and from ranging $19.15 to $24.25 for delivery. 1.5-inch crusher run at $7 with delivery being $18.50 to $23.25. Huh. Then 3/8-inch screenings, $7 at FOB and $18.15 to $23.25 for delivery. 3/8-inch pea gravel granite, $13 a ton there, and ranges delivered price of $24.35 to $26.75. 5/8-inch granite pea gravel, $18 FOB and $29.35 to $31.75 delivery. Rip wrap, $18 FOB and $36 for delivery. And that's all they bid on that. Excuse me, thank you.
And the-
Big City, yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, you were.
No. It's Big City. Yeah, Big City Concrete.
Not much there, Judge.
No,
No, there's something I
They probably only bid on one thing, didn't they?
if you'll see that 53.
Usually just ground up concrete.
yeah,
We need to put it on the agenda to accept that.
oh, here we go. They bid 1.5-inch crusher run, flex base at $9.50, and they didn't bid 2.5-inch. So that's the only thing they bid, was their flex base.
And the last one, Judge, is DeLisi.
Okay, they bid the following aggregates, all FOB for 3/8-inch number 2 cover washed, chips upon availability, $14.30, 3/8 number 2 cover, $13.60. No bid on the Acts 2 3/8 projects, 5/8 number 3 covers, $13.60. 5/8 number 3 cover washed is $14.10. 5/8 number 12 chips washed, no bid, no bid. 1-inch crusher run at $8.55. And they did add in 3/4-inch crusher run at $8.45. 1.5-inch crusher run at $8.35, 2.5-inch crusher run at $8.35. 3/8 screening, $7.25. 3/8-inch wrench shot, $10.75. 3/8 cents. Granite pea gravel, no bid for 5/8. Riprap, $22 a ton. And that is all their bids.
Motion to take bids under review and advisement.
Second.
Thank you.
No, we didn't,
Who
Willie.
seconded that?
I did.
Okay.
Man, I did. We did the
Okay.
same.
Motion, we take these under advisement, made by Commissioner Beecham, seconded by Commissioner Watts. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
It's odd not to have one from Ergon.
Yeah. My God, that's not good for us.
No.
You don't have any emulsion bids, do you?
Don't believe so.
But there was only one oil in submittal in there. Who was that from, Judge?
Asphalt and fuel supply.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's out of Tulsa. If it ain't one thing, it's Tuesday. See, last go round, no
It was rock.
chips.
Now it's oils.
See, you should have got all your oil and stored it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard to do right there.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, item 6 is discuss here, take action to elect a salary grievance committee completely composed of members of the public for 2021 according to the local government code section 152.014R. Committee can be composed of 6 elected officials and 3 members of the public, which does not need a vote. Go ahead.
I'd just make the motion that we select composed members of the public to make up our Salvins.
I'll second
I think
that.
that's a better makeup.
How do you select them?
You draw them from a list of names.
And you'll be well covered in the event somebody's tied up, you've got spares.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so we're not gonna do it, we're just gonna set the,
Set the way
Yeah,
to
what's
do
that?
it.
where to get the list, so, anyway.
We've got the list.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments, anyone, any discussion? Okay. Motion by Commissioner Watts, second by Commissioner Cannon, that we select 9 members from a public list to be placed on a salary grievance committee. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
And Judge, just for clarification, the members of the public is a 6-member board with 3 alternates? Is that what it is, or is it different?
It's 9.
I think it's 9
public
members.
Members, county judge chairs, but non-voting.
Oh, so there is 9 members.
Yeah.
Wouldn't we need like 11 or 2 alternates or something? What happens if 2?
You only have to,
Well,
you don't have to have all 9 there to vote.
Oh, okay.
No.
There has to be 9, but 5 could do the vote
Oh,
if
okay.
they didn't show up.
The only thing that 9 forces, if all 9 vote unanimous, if you have a 9-vote unanimous vote, then Commissioners Court's bound by that decision.
Right.
But if you have a 5-member unanimous vote, we're not bound.
We're not bound.
we're not bound, and you're not, I think the break is at
6. 6.
So 5 is discretionary on the courts. Yeah. Part.
Okay.
But if you all wanted to, it wouldn't hurt. I think that's a good idea to maybe have 2 alternates. Tracy, you see any problem with that?
I don't, Judge, but if you don't, the more people we start including, and they all have to be at meetings, I think the more difficult it becomes to set meetings. And if you don't have to have 9 there to vote anyway, I'd say just keep it at what it's at. And
Okay.
move on.
Right.
Pick 9.
Yep. And if folks fall off of that, then, we can come back and add them back in.
Yeah.
It gets unwieldy.
Okay,
Right.
I agree with that. I just want to, it been asked. Okay. We're down to item 7, is discuss, consider, and approve executive
Did we vote on
adjustment.
that?
Well, I'm sorry.
Did we vote?
I had 5 vote down here.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. It was
Brain's
asked-
gone.
It was consideration whether we were going to do all
Sorry.
of this.
But then you made me start worrying hard when you asked that. I thought, I don't remember that either. But we did, I think, Judge, I think you very much did. I just was in na-na land.
The chairman says we did.
I'm sorry.
I have it recorded, unanimous, 5-0.
All right.
All right.
But you wrote that before we talked. No, I'm just.
You start looking the other way.
If I have,
We're fixing to get back down.
Okay, item 7. Item 7, discuss consider take action to approve adjustments to positions within the building maintenance and housekeeping. That's Commissioner Beecham's submission.
yes, Judge, as you and I have visited,
Yes.
I have an opportunity to bring 2 individuals into building maintenance that would go along with the plan I'd set forth about it to do last year. It would bring me a dedicated HVAC person, which, moving into the new building and everything, we see the great need for somebody who can not only speak the language of HVAC, but can provide a valuable assistance in moving forward. We know Bob's got a couple weeks left with us, and he will be gone. This will replace Bob, put somebody in that original building engineer position that we had budgeted 2 years ago, and also bump up one individual in building maintenance's salary commensurate to the skill level that he brings to us.
Well, he's also your senior, he's the most senior guy you
Yeah.
have.
So it's actually really zero impact to the budget because I have $359,180 available with the monies that were donated from the Sheriff's Department budget. They dissolved one position to help fund a janitor, and we didn't use that entirety of that amount. So my proposal that you see on my documents comes out $359,000 to bring both individuals on and actually offer that.
That's the
bump
2
in
good
salary.
ones, Mark, you
Yep.
got applicants.
Yeah, two very good applicants, and I spent a year looking for one and couldn't get there, so I traded the position off.
Yeah,
So
I'll
I'm
second
very
the motion.
pleased to get that.
Just for clarification, to people listening or watching, that 359,000 budget is for a multitude of staff,
Yeah, that's
not
10
2
that's
people.
10 positions.
Because the way that came across
No,
was,
no, it's 10 positions
Yeah.
total, yes.
I'm just clarifying that for
And
people.
it's still coming in less than the gross amount approved.
Right.
But you will have to pick up the additional cost of benefits for that new position.
We still have, it's still the same 10 positions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we still,
That's right. You
Yeah, we-
changed a janitorial.
right, we
Okay.
added the janitorial.
HVAC person for this facility is huge
Yeah.
because we're spending
Yeah.
in my opinion, an unreasonable amount of money on service calls for our HVAC systems.
I did not hire back one of our building engineer positions that left our employment on February 26th. So that money is, we've got about 9,000 in unpaid salary there to offset this as well, so.
Okay.
And that's actually position 2 that I want to add additional budgets for.
And you can go ahead and move on these straight away.
I can bring one in probably this week, and the other one probably won't be able to start until mid-July because he's out of county currently. So he'd have to relocate.
Well, it was a good find, Mark, a good find.
I'm very pleased.
Well, as Commissioner Moore said, it's amazing our changes have all been for the betterment of everything. So.
Yeah, so.
So do you need a motion to approve it?
Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve it.
Maybe all of it.
You made a motion to approve that and I second it.
No, White's already seconded it.
No, all right. Didn't know.
That, he assumed Beecham made it, but usually
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
usually the way the person that brings it is considered to make the motion for it. That's a Woodyism.
Woody is. Oh, now we got a vote.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, what do we do?
We haven't voted on this. All right, motion by Commissioner Beecham, second by Commissioner Watts to approve the personnel changes in the building staff, engineering and maintenance. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Receive an update on the law enforcement and elevator projects.
Well, I think you all are very aware that we did not receive our blessing from the jail commission last week. There were nothing hugely major, but enough minor things that they stopped the inspection before they were complete and gave us a list of corrective things that they wanted to see corrected. Most of that has either, it's in the process of being done or has already been done. There are a couple of remaining issues that I have not heard back from either Yates or HOK.
Which one?
The tables, most notably.
I'm supposed to meet with Stephen after a while. He was on his way back to Wichita Falls a little while ago.
Day room tables and all the medium max pods, they are purpose-built. They were ordered specifically for law enforcement. It was a provider that's accustomed to providing these kind of materials for jails. However, they're about an inch too tall. There's really no way to cut them down. They're purpose-built that way. They have to be removed from the floor and totally rebuilt. So I'm not sure what the resolve is.
I think Glenda, I believe, sent the specs to the jail commission on those.
Yeah.
That's where they engineered and built.
And it's my understanding they've been used, the same tables have been used across the state. There's nothing new, nothing abnormal about them. It's just they chose to take the measurements and they're all about an inch too tall from jail standards. And the standard, we believe, was put in place for ADA, which we do have ADA compliant bays on these tables. We should only really be required to provide one ADA slot per pod. So that's kind of the way I've been left understanding how we're going to approach it, but I don't know. I haven't heard anything else beyond that.
Mark, are those just plates in the floor welded? Is that?
No, they are actually bolted down.
Into the floor.
Into the concrete. There's actually a bolt in the floor and they go down and screw them down.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a matter of taking a cutting torch and cutting them off and reassembling them.
Which would be a bad job.
Yeah, so that's the biggest looming issue I see. We did have about a 30% failure in plumbing fixtures, or failure rate in plumbing fixtures. Most of that was attributed to they built a pod, they tested the pod, and they let it sit for months without running the water. I'm a little bit disturbed and a little bit ticked off, more than a little bit ticked off, in the fact that our builder, they had their head jail guy here on our walk, and he was not here 2-3 weeks prior. The comment was made at our informal meeting last Thursday that while we were struggling to pass smoky back test, he made a call to their headquarters and said it's not going well here. My comment back was, where was he 3 weeks ago to make sure that things would be going well? I do not recall, I don't remember his name. Yates. But their head jail guy, who's been through jail inspections time and time again, was not present until the day of the walk. We failed about half of our smoky back test. I there's a combination of things that happened. One, most notably, we had a breaker that was blown that we did not know about that caused the building to fill back up with smoke after it was evac from a pod. And I believe that's been remedied. I haven't got a full explanation as to why that breaker was blown, other than the fact that it said it wasn't exactly breaker, it was overheat. And we were cycling those fans on and off, on and off, on and off throughout that building, throughout that whole morning. And it got pretty warm in the mechanical room, so hopefully they have a resolve for that.
So they need an evacuation of the heat in the mechanical room.
Yeah. Yeah, I
'Cause
don't,
that kind of thing does not make sense to me.
no, it doesn't.
Several of the excuses given are just like, you
No.
can't do better than that.
No, I agree, Judge. The other issue, we were not detecting smoke in the allotted amount of time that was necessary. It was 60 seconds from the initiation of the smoke candles to detection. We were hitting anywhere from 45 seconds to a minute and 15. I believe from my observations that, one, we had some faulty candles. Two, we were taping, or not we, Yates was taping the candles together in a cake, the way you would do fireworks. Those candles are vented out the side, so if the vents were not all turned to the outside, and if any of them were behind the tape, we weren't getting the right amount of smoke into the rooms, thus it would not detect as it was supposed to. Because as soon as that practice was questioned, I don't believe we failed another test after that. So I'm a little bit taken aback by that. They did inform me that that was their standard test procedure that they've used over and over. I have a hard time believing that because it's just personal observation, seeing it. When we had all the candles taped together, the smoke was going straight up in a singular plume. It was not spreading out until it hit the ceiling. When we spread the candles out in a circle in order to get full smoke out of them, it was going up in a much larger plume and spreading out a lot quicker. So just my personal observation, I think our tests were not performed correctly. So I have some degree of confidence that a little tweaking, that we run the test correctly.
Will y'all get to run that, Mark, some before the?
Yeah, and that's another thing. We did not have the adequate number of candles to do all of our tests. We scrambled all over this state and the adjacent states trying to get as many candles in here as we could. They miscalculated the number of candles needed to run.
Is it a timed event, Mark? Is that what it is?
Yes, so there's, the smoke candles are smoke bombs. There's, you get 30-second candles or 60-second candles are for burn duration, and they put out a certain number of cubic feet of smoke per whatever candle, and you have to calculate the number. It has to be twice the amount of smoke is the cubic foot of the room that you're testing. So they would put out the appropriate number of candles for the cubic feet of room, and like I said, I don't believe we were getting the appropriate amount of cubic feet in our initial test on the first day. I think we remedied that. Another part of that is when we're doing single cell test, we were putting 8 times the amount of smoke that was required into the single cell test. We've gone back to jail commission to ask for an alternative test method because there's no candles available to put the appropriate amount of smoke into the cell. There's supposed to be a water tablet test that you can do that would put the appropriate amount of smoke into the room, but it's not in a jail commission approved method at this point, but they have allowed it in other locations. We did fail a couple of single cell tests. One of them, we discovered that manual damper had been closed, which, looking in that chase, all the manual dampers were set at different positions, and none of them had their backup nuts tightened. So I was a little bit embarrassed, particularly by our plumbing fixture failures.
The big thing is they just do a good thorough pre-test.
All that could have been, and I asked, to be fair, I asked over and over and over and over and over, and I asked again Friday, if there's anything that we need to be doing to make sure we pass every test, let's get it done over the weekend. And I was assured that we had nothing to worry about, nothing to be concerned about. And one of the members of our team so boldly and eloquently, after our brief out, said, and I quote, "We never pass these things on the first try."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was one of their bragging rights.
Which was one of the things that they so highly touted and sold us on.
They and HOK.
It was one of the members of HOK. So, we will get there. It's not a massive problem with the building. I'll put that to rest. I don't think there's any drastic problems with the building. I think it was,
Poorly prepared.
ill preparedness and not, lack of attention to fine detail. And it ended up biting us.
It's like buying a new car and going down and can't get a safety inspection sticker.
Yeah, it's pretty much. It's not that they left the motor out, but they left the brake fluid out or
They
something.
definitely didn't make sure the lights were working first.
Yeah, that's something, it was disappointing, to say the least, very disappointing. But we'll get there. I have full confidence we will get there. But the table thing was something I don't know that they would expect. I don't know that they would have thought to even measure that. That was an item.
Different than what was spec'd out.
No, that's exactly, they bought what was spec'd. I mean, but I don't know. So, as far as elevator project, they did a lot of drywall and painting last week in the annex, so it's starting to look pretty good, even though we got a long ways to go. It's starting to look good over there.
When is the start on the elevators in this building? It's gonna be after the first of the year? or-
No, we're gonna try to get it soon.
Okay.
We're finishing up the drawings now, and I'll bring them back to court for our final blessing on elevator project at all at the courthouse. There's a bunch with that project, so.
Okay.
That's all I have.
All right, thanks, sir. One thing back on jail, what about the bookend holding area? Did we ever get an answer on the smoke evacuation for that?
No, I don't have a full
I saw something
answer.
from Kurt, but it looked like it was a one-sided, like.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is going to be on that. But,
I'm gonna ask Stephen this afternoon, we can meet, I'll sit down and meet tomorrow.
okay,
You know, I was out last week, I'd like to get caught up on all that and see what the
Yeah.
game plan is.
And I mentioned this to Lisa on Friday, and I'll mention it to you too. I think one of the reasons we had a hard time passing the smoke evac test is that we had a wagon train of about 30 to 35 people, which is totally unnecessary.
Well, we'll talk about that later.
Well, some of it was our people, some of it was subcontractors, contractors, architects, everybody that ever turned a screw in that building, it seemed like they were there.
Okay.
We really need to limit it to Lisa or Spiegel from the jail, you, myself, from county in general, and
Absolutely.
one architect, one builder, and no one else in and out, really. Or CNI has to be there to reset the alarm, so. But we had 2 different wagon trains on 2 different parts of the building, opening and closing doors and in and out. And I think that led to some of our issues as well.
Anything on number 9, discuss, consider, take action on disaster-related issues in the county?
Judge, I wanted to ask,
Yeah.
we did that extended pay for COVID leave, covering up to 80 hours. Do we need to look at an end date on that at some point? Since we seem to be winding down?
You talking about end date on the 80 hours?
On the
or
80
end date on
Yeah,
the
end
declaration?
date on us paying the additional 80 hours.
How many of y'all aren't getting any positives, are you, or anything?
We actually have 1 positive right now, and we've got, I think, 5. Over the last week, we've had about 5, and we have another one being tested today. Actually, I have 2 tested.
5 positive or 5 tests?
No, just 1 came back positive.
Okay.
Her office. And then, we've got, 3 from last week, and then 2 today that tested, but the 3 last week were negative, but they used the 2 days to get tested. A lot of counties are kind of winding down. I do see some that are ending September 1. Earlier in the year, I think some were going to end in July 1, but haven't really seen anything on the news either since in the past few weeks.
You get a chance, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Senate Bill 22. I don't know whether they ever got anything in there defining, or just pure presumption and nothing. You know, I always think of our 4 jailers that went canoeing or rafting.
Fishing, whatever it was.
Yeah. Under that bill, if it didn't get changed with anything like any other workers' compensation claim, theoretically, they would qualify. And it wouldn't have been work-related. I think for the amount of time they were gone and all, you know,
I think one of the forms got pretty sick from it. The 3 had just mild, fortunately it was mild, but 1 was off for quite some time.
But I mean, our policy didn't really deal with where they contracted COVID from,
No.
right?
Not at that time.
no, not at that time, but I'm just saying, as we went on down, it seems it'd be like you decide to pick up something loaded in your pickup at home, and then get to work and your back's bothering
See
you.
that
So it's,
warranty?
you know,
Oh,
Yeah.
to me, there ought to be a cause.
that's the one, okay. That's the warranty one there.
On this, yeah.
You can't.
But if the person hadn't been, they had one of them that was given, the person hadn't
That
been
was
in
one of those,
the workplace
you know, one of
for
these
2
were
weeks,
signed DDD.
came back and made one EMS call, and then claimed COVID. You know, in a shorter time than the incubation time, it was like the next day. It was the fastest incubation of COVID on record, less than 24 hours.
Well, my thought would be to put an end date on it, and if things change, we can obviously amend that, but just to let our staff know that it's not gonna go on forever.
Okay.
the agenda?
Yeah,
Okay.
you might visit with Lou, just
Okay,
see
yeah,
what
that's fair.
their suggestion is on that.
Okay.
So, okay. I sent out a thing last week to 21 people, telling them they need to get to take their cybersecurity course. Still got a pretty good bunch left. 4 of those are in detention officers or jail personnel.
I know when, the week before last, before we left, I had sent that out, we had discussed, and then of course computers were down for
Yeah,
Friday.
and that may be,
Saturday, and Monday, so,
yeah.
I'll get with Nancy. and I'll get
Yeah,
with
and,
her.
yeah, I need to know if their email's down, and we
Yeah.
work out something else to
So
do.
I'll get it from her, send it straight to their lieutenant, and then
Okay,
when they, if they're on duty tonight, or when they come back, then what days off they're on.
okay.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone in the audience, any comments? Yes, sir.
I think Lisa made y'all aware of the issues we're having on the old side with the AC.
Yeah.
Spoke to our maintenance guy. He was waiting on a quote from Trinity. I told him he needed to get it fixed because we have it closed and he needs to move on with it. They should be here tomorrow or Wednesday to fix it. As of just a little while ago, we were down to 2 female open beds. So,
Okay. Why were we using Trinity?
I don't know why we use, I don't know.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you why we using Trinity, I didn't.
Okay.
I thought maybe that was something y'all had changed or,
No, not yet.
okay.
I think we're gonna go out for RFQ to see who,
Real thing is here, get it fixed now.
Yeah, we just gotta get it fixed and we have that whole side completely closed and running out of bed space.
Okay, thanks, Chief. Anyone else? Commissioner Beecham, anything?
the Bridge to Bridge, event over the weekend was a success from what I could see. I think it's gonna grow into a major event for our area.
Well, how many cars hold from bridge to bridge?
A bunch, a bunch.
Is it 2 lanes of cars?
No, I mean,
They're
they
going
were
both
spread
ways?
out. I don't, they're not continuously in a parade together. We watched for about an hour on Saturday night, and there'd be a group of really cool cars and a bunch of soccer mom cars behind them, so.
Can you see the cars real well?
Yeah.
when it gets-
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and they were parked all up and down Jacksboro Highway, the different cars and different businesses, so.
At some point, as that event grows stature, there'll be an attempt to close that highway for about 2 hours.
The one thing that,
It is a state highway though, and so that takes a little bit of doing, but that would,
the one thing that I seen was, when we were there, they had a ambulance from Archer City come down right through the middle of it. And they could have gone over the freeway.
Yeah,
And we
they
probably
should've
did
been
a
routed
better
around.
job of communicating with our neighboring communities that event's going on. And-
yeah.
But that's just one of those
Well,
live and learn things.
What's is there a significance about that strip of road? Is that the part that makes it unique for the trip?
Well,
or
it's just really well
Long-
positioned because the headquarters for it was, of course, the car museum,
Oh, okay,
which is right in the middle of it.
okay.
And Bob
Wide,
Johnson is-
wide open, straight, and
Yeah, very few stoplights. It is a great venue for that.
Yeah.
Now, there might be a couple of Patterson car lots there.
yeah.
Just a
Well,
couple.
a couple of car lots in general.
Yeah, it's just all cars, yeah.
It's the mile of cars.
The main thing is you're looking for something wide, something where there's a lot of area along the side. There's plenty of big vacant lots for people to set up.
And there's wide shoulders too, so you're not,
Wide shoulders.
there's so many spectators, particularly young kids, that were out adjacent to the
Lack
roadway.
of stoplights is important too, and that's a long stretch down through there, so
It
it
was-
worked very well.
It was a neat event, and I was
When you
glad.
consider there was a major event going on in Nocona
Yeah.
at the same time, and I don't know what the actual count is, I think they're working on that right now, but, I mean, it could have been 600 or so. Probably was,
Cars,
yeah.
every bit of, I would
Yeah,
say.
maybe more than that. I hadn't heard the final count yet. We went for a little while, we're busy, but I'm sure they will be a part of it. But
It's got potential to be
a very
a
big
major
event.
event.
We need to, get some folks involved in doing some cook-offs and some different things in conjunction with it. There's plenty of room, and it could wind up being a really,
Yeah, you got some big parking lots down through there.
There's plenty of them.
There's so much.
Kind of germane to that, on that handout we got from CCDRS, I want you to tell me which is older, the Edsel picture and that, or that judge?
What's the matter with his eyebrows? What is that? I couldn't figure that out.
Well, I'm not sure.
That's probably
But they, something.
58. That's probably a 58 model Edsel, so he's way older than that.
Yeah. I've been treated rougher.
Imagine that.
That's part of his sunglasses.
I'm pretty
He's
sure.
weird looking. I couldn't figure that
Yeah,
out.
he's kind
Watch your marks,
of, yeah, that's what I thought.
Seeing Nancy over there, thanks to Kenny for providing sound Friday night for that event. He did a fantastic job, and on his birthday, no less.
And Father's Day, yeah, actually.
For a huge paycheck of $0.00.
Did he get a t-shirt?
He got a t-shirt.
Okay, well paid.
I guess, I thought we all got t-shirts. So.
Yeah. Anything else, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Finnegan.
They have, just to let y'all know, they have started doing some metal work on my precinct buildings as far as changing out metal over there. The reason I bring that to you, I don't know if you got with them to get a quote on
Well, I have
metal
gotten
for
with them
yours,
to get
too.
a quote, but I've not received one. Can you send that, push that for me, Mickey, to that guy?
Yeah, if I see them there, I'll try to follow up with them, but they are working on some metal over there, and even during our milling, as far as precinct 2, you know, we get probably 10 complaints a day about the bar ditches, so we are currently mowing. I might even go help tomorrow myself, but we're way behind in mowing. I'm sure we all are, but we have started, so just so my citizens know, we're mowing as fast as we can, as long as my guys quit running over fence posts. Fixing fence takes too much time.
Commissioner Waller.
We're gonna probably have the milling machine tomorrow, we're thinking.
Yeah, we're trying to move it in the morning first
We've
thing.
got a pretty good plan put together, and I think we can get our stuff knocked out in about 5 days. Kinda
Oh,
what Terry and I
wow.
talked about this morning, if everything, we should, count on that. If it rain us out for a few minutes, I wouldn't be upset about that. But- And,
I don't want it to rain on our
this
road.
mowing deal is really, really serious. We're all getting calls and
Yeah.
just doing the best we can. And it's just now getting dry enough to go do it.
Yeah.
There's still water standing in places, and you don't want to go make a bigger mess than what you've got, but it will happen. We'll get it done.
You almost need those old sickle mowers that you laid.
Yeah, Barry was just talking about
We were
one
just talking
earlier.
about one of them. That's what they're running down on the board, whenever just by design.
Yeah.
It's gotta be that way, but it's, we're putting, about 2 months worth of work into 2 weeks. That's kind of what it amounts to, but they are beginning to get the wheat harvest wrapped up. That'll get some of that traffic off the roads, which will help, and, not through by any means, but they're getting close. So that always helps when we get past that little rush and settle in to get some paving done. I don't know how far this has backed us up for chip sealing, but, obviously we had planned to be through with all this a month ago, and it just didn't work out that way, so we need to get rolling, because as upset as people are with, the bar ditches needing to be mowed, they're gonna be the same upset with roads plowed up,
Yeah.
so it's gonna be important to get set up and get
You all
rolling.
have verified we're not interfering with any hotter than hell roads, or?
I don't know, and I don't think we are, that I know of.
Barry, give me a list. I got a meeting tonight, and I'll verify with the
Mark, mine's
routes.
County Line and Old Lake.
We are doing some on Johnson, but I don't know if it's past where that
Okay.
is. Don't think
Yeah, I know the
anything
route
else.
goes down Johnson, but if you can show me after the meeting.
But
I'll-
mine won't hurt nothing, will
I
they?
don't think so.
Because there's no,
Lake,
Old Lake and County Line? Oh,
they go straight to 25 there.
oh, okay.
Okay. Commissioner Watts?
Yes, I've got well, as soon as, if Mickey can get me the contact there at Parsons and I get a number from them, I'll be ready to put my additions or changes on the agenda for our building out there. Kind of, we've got a lot of progress, but we don't have, we're kind of stalled right now. So hopefully we can get something.
Wasn't there a song like that, Mickey, have you got the number or something? I've got it in my head, I think I do.
The update, I've gotten a request on this email, Judge. Do we know, or do you have any update? We've got two DAs that are desperately needing contact that are unable to have contact right now, and they've reached out to George, but she's not gotten a response of any.
George is at the doctor today and tomorrow, so he's out, but yeah, I'll be able to check with Cody.
Yeah, I saw the email went to Sam, Cody, and asking for help. Misty King, is that that must be district attorney? And just trying to keep everybody in the same loop, but they're really worried about victim contact and investigative communication.
Well, you know, there are things that if somebody does have email, they can send an email to that person. I mean, this can be worked around. Ideally, it should be restored. It's only restoring if the rate is restored. So.
We've still got some open, though, you think?
Last time it was, yes. But, I mean, they can have someone else contact that person and say, if you have things that are a temporary email outage, please send your information here. You know, there's people in that office who have emails, so you've got to think a little out of the box.
Tracy, I've got these invoices here I want to show you and get 2 cents on it. I don't know where to drill after some of this signature stuff. You know, we approved today in court to pay for a laptop that we're being told we don't have, but Microsoft readily gave us serial numbers for it, so I just...
You know, you think of that, they didn't, okay, who signed for it?
Lee, L-E-E, yeah. And the only other signature on there is DDD.
Yeah.
That's on a different receipt.
You know, that's a little questionable, but.
It would help if we recognized it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to try to back into, I did receive the weights on those packages, and I'm going to try to back into that and see if I can recreate that weight, but other than that, I don't know what else to do, but it's very disheartening, so. And like I say, look forward to precinct 3. That's all we like, and hopefully that'll be a wrap up, and we can get that milling machine back home. And
We're ready to move on.
yeah, we're ready to move on. It's been guys have been great though. They've all jumped right in there. Everybody's Johnny on the spot when it's their turn to run, and it's just.
It's been a good project.
Mark's
Just the weather.
Mark's Good Machine had a hiccup, and so we've leased a machine, got that in the mix. It'll be on next week's agenda, but hopefully we can get it shores up till a later time, because we'll need Mark's again, I guess, if it's able to be quickly done, Mark.
I don't know. I don't have a clue what it's going to take to fix that.
Yeah. So, but we're in good shape till then. So, or we're in good shape with one, so we ought to be. And Mickey, can we change the pad foot out to, what's involved in putting the slick drum on the pad foot.
Taking all the feet off, I think. It's
Is
a-
it
it's a-
something we
it's a-
can do, though? I mean, is it
Yeah,
a?
it's pretty time consuming, but we can do it.
You don't have to change the roll.
I don't,
Just take 'em
I
off.
think they,
I've never really looked at it.
I didn't know. I thought there was a drum that had to go in there. I didn't know how that
we've,
worked.
I know we've changed it, so I personally didn't do it, so.
Well, we just might be, wouldn't we be better, Barry, with 2 rollers like that? Couldn't we move quicker?
It's not
I
too,
thought they're using that foot out there.
are they using it?
They're packing the road with that
Yeah,
foot.
but I'm talking about once we start chip sealing.
Oh, yeah, we'll definitely swap it then. We'll swap.
That's what I
Hopefully
mean.
we'll have ours fixed by then.
Yeah, and
Hopefully.
hopefully, yeah. We can turn this other one back as minute Marks gets his out. Because they're both very good machines, Mark's and Mickey's both.
So you take the sheep's foot out of them?
Well, not for sure, Judge. I thought there was a drum replacement that,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought.
but I don't know how you lift that thing up. It's gotta be
We
tremendously
get 2
heavy.
guys on each side.
Workman's comp, yeah, it's workman's comp.
Yeah, big time.
But I think that's everything, Judge.
All right, thank you. The only things I had, Nancy, tomorrow, that hearing I have at 8, I may need a little help orchestrating that, because we've got all new players other than, well, no, unless they've changed it, and we're back to a Teams link instead of if it's, Zoom, it's our link. And then, I'm getting a backup interpreter maybe. Huh? Right, I'm trying to answer about that. Didn't finish it. Tell her. Okay. So I'll need you for that. Did you all get an invitation to the tasting thing over at Impact for tomorrow night?
Yes.
I didn't see it.
Email or?
Yeah?
I think I saw an email.
I think it was an email, Mark.
What is it?
It's from, what's the,
Sarah Cox at Impact.
Yeah.
Try out the new chef they have. and
you know, it's just kind of some food they might be offering.
Yeah. But it'd be,
I've been to one before, and it was
I bet
really
they
good.
can't cook as good a chicken fried steak as we can.
No, I bet not.
Yeah,
But the
either way.
shrimp that I had there at that time was really big and nice. They were good.
yeah.
There it is, you're invited to a taste of Impact.
Be nice to let them know.
5 to 7 tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah. And then, we got a North Texas Workforce Board meeting on Thursday. And Friday's meeting, we'll have a lady from Johnson Controls here, Jennifer Edwards. She wants, and Bob Hempel and Murphy and the auditor will be there. Simply, she wanted to present some financing strategies for any of our major projects. I didn't realize they did that.
When is that, Judge?
Friday at 10.
Oh, yeah, right.
In our meeting,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Yeah. And, okay,
Okay, that's what we have this week, other than it's Friday.
that's all I know of we
This
have.
week right now.
Commissioner Watts, you had something you wanted to talk about on budget?
Well, that's why I'd ask if we were gonna meet on budget. I know the sheriff's got his deal out, as well as we received the public defenders.
Right. I've looked at public defender, I haven't looked at the sheriff, I saw that today.
Well, that was it was very detailed, and he walks you right through the money of what I read of yours, so.
Okay. But I think we look at that, we do that next week. Will, is there any day, that'd normally be on Monday or on Friday? Either of those days work for you?
Yeah, just
Probably
let us know
Monday.
when. Yeah.
And,
I think Patrick's got those questions also that you had asked last time we met
okay,
about watch guard and, body cam.
Thank you.
okay,
That
good.
was the issue.
Okay, so we can go over those too, we might, you know. we need to look at that whole package of constables and you all and how we're gonna put that together.
Just let me know when you know.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. And then Willie, district judges were asking again whether we're gonna be able to do anything to beef up their courtrooms from a standpoint of electronic presentations and things. And they're supposed to be meeting Mr. Beecham this week or next with that guy. Judge
I don't
Kennedy
have it
said
on my
that.
schedule.
She just brought that up this morning.
Is that the same guy Gary brought before, Judge? Or a similar fella? About the technology upgrades that Gary Butler brought?
I don't know whether it is or not. It's been too many moves.
Person that's probably changing by
Yeah.
month. Almost $1 million.
So we're probably looking at somewhere in the $200,000 to $300,000 range on those. And whether it can be done temporary until, they asked today if we had any idea when that court remodeling was gonna take place, and I told them I really didn't have.
Is it a function of their desk? Is that what most of it is? To just accommodate, I know their area is not very large.
No, yeah, it's,
Or does
needs
it
a
have to be
complete
wired
overhaul.
up here?
Well,
Yeah.
it's twofold, it's getting the screens in position where you've got good
Oh,
visibility. for
yeah.
everybody. Then the desk, if I remember that last presentation, you've gotta have the controls, because the judge has to be in
but
control of that.
most of their benches are inadequate size to
Yeah.
accommodate that, so.
Well, and quite honestly, we need to probably see some of that done because, you know,
Yeah.
the court reporter is doing the court reporting. The judge cannot be calling balls and strikes and being the major orchestrator of
That's true.
that data.
That could be a very big,
Uh,
challenging job when
yeah.
you're,
But isn't that what those groups do that came and, Gary had somebody mark and they
Yeah,
just
and I brought,
orchestrated?
Yeah,
I brought folks in.
but I think it's supposed to be the guy that,
Yeah, is it this week, you say?
I don't know that it is,
All right.
she was saying that, she just sent this morning, she was trying to get it set up. They
Okay.
were waiting on McKnight to get back from vacation.
Okay.
Will, Patrick, thank y'all.
Thank you.
thanks, guys.
You need me to go
I've got a tour tomorrow morning,
Okay.
if I can get somebody with keys.
What time?
10, I think. I'll text you.
Just call me a little bit.
All right, thanks.
Judge, what about, you know, and I didn't get a new page that I know of on the county court at law. We were missing the one position for one of the judges. The salary line wasn't on there. Remember that, man? Did you give us a new sheet for that already?
Not for the county court law.
Yeah, there was one of those positions that was
It just listed one judge at 165 or whatever.
Oh, that one that I typed up.
Did you fix that one?
I fixed
Okay.
it, but I don't know if I gave it to you yet.
And are we are or are not going to give a stipend to those judges? To the
It's
county?
juvenile court, yeah.
What was that?
Somebody's screaming. I don't see anybody.
The county court at law judges, would it,
Well, if we did the district judges, juvenile board, we put in there $1,200 for each of them.
oh, for each
Okay.
of the,
For each of them, which includes me. And you all, the county pay raise would include $1,200 for me, which I will not take. Just take more of it.
but we won't let them have that other 12? Everybody'd have to get it, I guess, right, in order to keep them bound, otherwise you get the county, isn't that a law that the
Yeah, you have
county?
to pay all the judges and the district attorney.
How long before they get a raise? Before the
Well,
Gary and
They've got
Greg?
a deal now that every 4 years they get a pretty good raise. I think it's like $12,000 in 4 years for longevity. Then there is a cap on it. But it becomes a pretty nice salary.
And that's a funded The retirement's through us, isn't it? They're
Yeah.
Greg and Gary's.
Yeah.
All right. I'm trying to think of an open hole. Willie, did you have thoughts on the road and bridge tax? I mean, where we're at will get us done. What did you?
Keep it at 1 cent per precinct.
1 cent per precinct? Would that be a slight bump? Like a 0.10% bump, or not a 10%, but a
772, so you're looking at 782, $10,000, something. But we haven't got the exact figures yet.
Okay.
Just remaining the same in R&B, same tax rate in R&B then?
Yeah, but you will have a slight revenue increase.
Yeah.
Is this the extent of our budget discussions? Because Matt Davis wanted to know. if you were-
Yes, yeah, in fact, we're getting ready to wrap up. But
The sheriff said Will send his revised salary.
Yeah, Willie, I'll flip that to you.
Oh, I made copies.
Oh, did you make Willie one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. I thought I forwarded it to you.
Yeah, you may have been who sent that, Nancy, this morning.
Oh, no, Will sent it to everybody, including me.
Okay.
I made copies.
okay, it's
We're looking at
310.
quite a bit of additions to this year, to next year's budget. You know, you gotta look at tax increase.
Do we have them itemized yet to what they total, Willie?
Now, we're doing 56 million. Of course, that has a lot of contingencies in it. But, you know, I think, probably, the actual expenditure, would be 45 million something.
But we've got more than enough revenue coming in if it's 45 million, right? We're like 48.
You're getting close.
Yeah, no. The other thing, though, we're gonna recognize the income from the US Marshal stuff. Would you- We need to recognize that income. Because that's a penny's worth there. So we're putting in, you know, and we offer them that $450,000 of that for those, redoing those salaries. Okay.
Barry and I have a judge initial meeting in the morning here.
Is that tomorrow?
Yeah.
I think it's Thursday, that's fine,
And-
that's good.
Just to get some kind of overview of what, if those guys was to receive any type of funding from us, how would they, is there thoughts of weaker spots or expansion that they would?
This is the water.
Water,
Yeah.
it's a rural water.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that Drew would had some comments, Judge, over the Truscott deal as to moving to a state represented board like you like you were commenting. And I don't know that there's been any thought given. Because that's typically who deals with the issues in the state, is the state.
the kitchen about bringing their proposal for the food truck.
Oh, you wanted to see how it went? If they-
No, what they want, Jackie Ham, she asked for more money, she asked for 10,000 instead of 6,000.
Right.
And I wanna know if that's for that, I couldn't remember what she gave us, much there it is.
The 4,000 was to fund that food, was to fund the food truck.
Okay.
But Judge, didn't you check on something that thought that was a coverable
Yes,
expense?
everybody, that seemed to be very definitely, it's underserved and unserved, and it is both of those.
Okay.
And
And I kinda like that idea, doing that. That, you know, 2 or 3 year deal and fund it and let it
Get it.
work itself.
Yeah, build it off, let them
That
build
seems-
off of it.
yeah, we gave 2 years, salary, total funded it.
Right.
2 years. So that's what we need from her, is what do they think it would be for 2 years of operation?
Are they still interested in taking our cooler from the downstairs jail?
I don't know. We threw that out, but I don't know if anything came back about that.
You know, the big challenge on that food truck, and it's, I think it's certainly an interesting idea, but how are they gonna pick that up in 2 years? That concerns me.
Well, that's up to them to raise that.
Well, I hear you,
I
Judge, but, I know how these grant deals go, and, that just worries me that,
That gives them 2 years to build on it, though.
fall off a cliff
We
out
could
there.
even theoretically do 4 years of it, because we'll get the second half of that allocation before our first 2-year commitment is up.
Look, the life cycle on that vehicle's, right,
Depends on the driver.
I'd hesitate to fund it at 100% beyond 2. We may do
Yeah.
like we do a tax abatement and reduce the amount of funding.
Yeah,
The following
that's a
2.
good idea.
well, and it.
That way it gives them
that
incentive to
compels
get,
you
yeah.
to begin to bring it online and, get it funded, because we don't know where we're gonna be in, 4 years, you hate to make those commitments. And once again, no challenge to the idea, to the concept, it's just the practical funding of it.
Okay, what else? Okay, it's 3:16, we're adjourned.
Mark 3:16.